why we say bless you after a sneeze. Have you ever thought about how weird it is? You sneeze and almost instantly someone says, bless you. Or maybe you're the one saying it. It's a phrase we use without thinking. A quick little burst of words. But where did it come from? Why do we say it? Almost like an automatic response. It turns out, this simple phrase carries centuries of human history and belief, tangled up with fears, hopes, and even our very idea of the soul. Long, long ago, people believed that a sneeze was more than just a sudden burst of air. It was seen as a powerful moment, a brief shake-up of the body. Some thought your soul, the part of you that makes you, you, might actually try to escape your body for a moment when you sneezed. Imagine that. Your very essence, your spirit, suddenly vulnerable, possibly leaving you through your nose and mouth. So, saying bless you was like a quick prayer, a wish for protection to keep your soul safe and sound inside you. It was like saying, stay with us, don't leave, stay whole. Others thought a sneeze might open you up to evil spirits trying to enter your body. So, bless you was also a shield, a verbal ward against unseen dangers that might try to sneak in during that vulnerable moment. Another big reason for this tradition comes from a dark and scary time in history, the bubonic plague, also known as the Black Death. This terrible disease swept across Europe hundreds of years ago, wiping out huge numbers of people. It was a time of widespread fear and mystery, because no one understood what was causing the sickness. One of its early signs was often a sudden, violent sneeze, along with coughing. People were desperate and terrified. They believed that saying God bless you could ward off the sickness, or at least offer a quick, heartfelt prayer for someone who might be falling ill. It was a plea to a higher power, a tiny spark of hope in a time of great fear and death. Think about it. A sneeze, such a small, everyday thing. But back then, it carried so much weight, so much potential for doom. So, it started with these big fears and deep beliefs about escaping souls and deadly sickness. But today, most of us don't actually believe our soul is trying to fly out, or that a bless you will magically stop a serious illness. Science has given us different answers for why we sneeze. So why do we keep saying it, almost automatically, after every achoo? Here's the thing. It has become a habit, a reflex. Yes. But it's also something more. When someone sneezes, it's a momentary disruption in the quiet. Maybe they just made a loud noise, or perhaps they looked a bit uncomfortable or startled themselves. Saying, bless you, is like a tiny, automatic gesture of care and recognition. It's not about magic anymore. It's about acknowledging another person. It's similar to when someone trips, and you automatically ask, are you okay? You don't necessarily think they've broken a bone, but you're acknowledging what happened and showing you noticed, you're aware of them. Or, like when you're walking by and someone drops their books, and you offer to help pick them up. It's a small, kind act, a tiny way to connect. This simple phrase, passed down through generations, reminds us that even the smallest actions can carry a deep meaning. It shows that we are often, without even thinking about it, reaching out to acknowledge each other. We are connected, not just by shared air, but by these quiet customs that speak of our shared human experience. So the next time you hear or say, bless you, remember it's more than just words. It's a quiet whisper from the past, connecting us to ancient fears and hopes, but also a gentle reminder of our deep need for connection and kindness, a simple way we show care for one another in the smallest, most automatic moments of our lives. The hidden history of shaking hands. Think about how many times a day you see someone shake hands. Your parents meeting a new neighbor, a coach greeting another team, maybe even you shaking hands with someone new. It seems so normal, right? Just a quick clasp of palms, a nod, and it's done. But what if I told you this simple act, this everyday gesture, holds echoes of a very old, very serious past? A handshake is more than just saying hello. It's a silent message. For thousands of years, people have reached out a hand to greet each other. Imagine a time long, long ago when life was much tougher. There were no laws or police like we have today. Strangers were often dangerous. So, when two people met, how could they show they came in peace? How could they build trust even for a moment? They extended an open hand. Not just any hand, but their right hand. Why the right? Because most people are right-handed, and it's the hand you'd usually use to hold a weapon, a sword, a knife, a club. By showing an empty right hand, you were saying, "Look, I have no weapon. I mean you no harm." It was a promise, a vow of peace, made without words. This simple act, an empty hand reaching out, became a sign of good intentions. It was a way to start a conversation, or a trade, or even an alliance, without fear. Sometimes, they would even grab each other's forearms, pulling up sleeves to show there was no hidden dagger there either. It was all about showing complete openness, removing any doubt. As societies grew, and life became less about constant danger, the handshake didn't disappear. It changed. It became a symbol of agreement. When two people made a deal, they would shake hands to seal it. Think of it like a spoken promise, but with an added physical gesture that made it feel more real, more binding. It was like saying, "My word is my bond," and letting the other person feel that bond in your grip. Even today, when a big contract is signed, or a sports team wins a championship, what often happens? People shake hands. It's not just politeness. It's a connection. It's a shared moment of respect, understanding, and even celebration. It's a way to say, "We are together in this," or "We accept this outcome." Think about when you're playing a video game online. You join a team, right? Sometimes, you might do a little emote, a dance, or a wave to show you're ready to play fair. That's kind of like a digital handshake. You're signaling to others, "I'm here to work with you, not against you." Or at school, when you meet someone new and they offer their hand, it instantly makes the situation feel a little safer, a little more welcoming than if they just stared at you. The handshake creates a tiny bridge between two people. For a brief second, you are connected, palm to palm, person to person. It doesn't matter if you're a king or a farmer, a CEO or a student. That moment of shared touch says something fundamental about being human. It's about trust, about respect, about recognizing each other's presence. So, the next time you shake someone's hand, or even just watch someone else do it, pause for a moment. Think about that long, quiet journey this gesture has taken through history. From a desperate plea for peace in a dangerous world, it has become a simple greeting. But the ancient echoes are still there. Every handshake carries a whisper of trust, a hope for connection, and a silent promise to meet in peace. It reminds us that even our most common actions often hold the deepest stories, linking us to those who lived long before us, and reminding us of our shared human desire for understanding. Blowing out birthday candles. Older than you think. Have you ever stood in front of a birthday cake, the small flames dancing, waiting for your moment to take a deep breath and blow? It's a simple tradition, one we do without much thought, year after year. But have you ever stopped to wonder why we do it? Why do we put candles on a cake, light them, and then blow them out with a secret wish? It turns out, this everyday moment is far older than you might guess, carrying whispers of ancient times. Here's the thing. This practice stretches back thousands of years to the ancient Greeks. They didn't have birthday parties quite like ours, but they did honor their gods with special cakes. One goddess they particularly celebrated was Artemis, the goddess of the moon and the hunt. To honor her, they would bake round cakes, like the full moon, and on top of these cakes, they'd place lit candles. The glow of the candles was meant to make the cake shine, just like the moon itself. It was a way to make their offering more beautiful, more spiritual, and to show their deep respect for the goddess. But there was another important reason for those candles. The Greeks believed that the smoke from the burning candles carried their prayers and wishes up to the heavens, directly to the gods. So, when you lean in and blow out your candles, you're tapping into a very old idea, that the smoke, even from a little candle, can carry your deepest hopes somewhere important. It's a quiet, hopeful message sent out into the world. Later, in medieval Germany, a different tradition emerged, called Kinderfest, a festival for children. On a child's birthday, a single large candle, or sometimes one candle for each year of life, plus an extra one for good luck, would be lit and kept burning all day long. This wasn't just for a wish. This flame was seen as the light of life, a symbol of the child's life, and a way to protect them from evil spirits for the year ahead. At the end of the day, the child would blow out the candles, a moment of transition and hope for the coming year. This German custom brought in the idea of the wish as well, though it was more about a quiet, personal hope than a public declaration. So, when you think about it, blowing out birthday candles isn't just a fun party game. It's a blend of ancient Greek reverence and German protective magic. It's a ritual that has traveled through time, from honoring moon goddesses to wishing for good fortune. It shows us how deeply people have always hoped for good things and sought ways to connect with something larger than themselves. Think about other small things we do without thinking. Like when someone sneezes and we say, "Bless you." That phrase goes back to ancient times too, when people believed a sneeze might let out your soul or let in evil spirits. Saying "bless you" was a quick protective charm. Just like "bless you," our birthday candle tradition is a quiet echo of beliefs from long ago. It's a shared human experience, a tiny thread connecting us to people who lived thousands of years before us, people who also wanted good things for themselves and their loved ones. And that's why it matters. Every time you gather around a cake, the glow of the candles reflecting in your eyes, you're not just celebrating another year. You're taking part in a timeless human act. You're carrying on a tradition of hope, of sending wishes into the unknown, and of marking the precious journey of life with a small, beautiful light. It reminds us that even the simplest acts can hold deep meaning, connecting us across the ages in a quiet, hopeful way. It's a moment of wonder, a small magic that lives on. Knock on wood, an ancient good luck charm. Imagine wishing for something to stay good, for bad luck to just pass by. Have you ever felt that tiny urge to touch something wooden right after you say something you don't want to jinx? Maybe you said, "This test will be easy," then quickly looked around for a table or a door frame. That little action, knocking on wood, feels so natural to many of us. But here's the thing. It's not just a random habit we picked up. It's a quiet echo from a very old world, a small ritual passed down through thousands of years. Think about what knocking on wood truly means. It's a silent plea, a tiny bit of magic we perform to keep good fortune close and send bad fortune away. We do it to prevent something good from going wrong, to make sure our words don't accidentally invite trouble. It's like a whispered hope, a small barrier against the unknown. So, where did this strange, simple act come from? You have to travel far back in time, to when people lived much closer to nature. For ancient civilizations, trees were not just plants, they were seen as sacred. Many cultures believed that trees held powerful spirits. These spirits could be kind and protective, or they could be mischievous and bring bad luck. The deep roots, the tall branches reaching for the sky, the long lives of trees, it made sense to think they were special, filled with unseen life. Some stories say that knocking on wood was a way to call upon these friendly tree spirits for protection. If you had just said something good, like, "I've never been sick," you might touch the wood to thank the spirits for keeping you healthy. It was a way of showing gratitude, a little nod to the unseen forces that people believed watched over them. Other stories suggest it was a way to ward off evil spirits. If you spoke too confidently, or boasted too much, you might worry that a jealous spirit would hear you and try to ruin your good fortune. So, you'd knock on the wood, a quick tap-tap, to make a noise that would scare away any listening bad spirits, or perhaps to hide your words from them. It was a kind of quick, protective spell. Think about a moment in your own life. Maybe you're talking about how well your sports team is doing. You say, "We're definitely going to win the championship this year." And then, almost without thinking, your hand reaches out for the wooden desk. Why? It's not because you truly believe a tree spirit is going to mess up your team's game, but there's a part of us that fears speaking too soon, that worries about tempting fate. It's a natural human feeling, this little shiver of uncertainty. We want things to go well so badly that we feel the need to do something, anything, to help make it true. From a simple way of looking at it, knocking on wood is like a mini ritual of comfort. It's something we do to feel a little more in control, even when we know we aren't truly controlling anything. It's about our mind, not about magic. When we perform this small act, it gives our brain a tiny sense of satisfaction, a feeling of, I've done my part. It eases that small anxious feeling that comes with hoping for good things. This ritual connects us to ancient fears and ancient hopes. It shows how people have always looked for ways to influence the world around them, to feel safe, to bring about good outcomes. Even now, in our modern world, we carry these echoes of the past within us. The next time you find yourself tapping on wood, pause for a moment. Feel the cool, solid surface. And remember that you're not just performing a random gesture. You're touching a piece of history, a thread that connects you to generations long gone, all sharing that same deep human desire for a little bit of good luck, a little peace of mind, in a world full of unknowns. It's a quiet reminder that, beneath all our new inventions and modern ways, we are still so very human, still reaching for something to steady us. The secret story behind tossing a coin. Have you ever found yourself stuck, needing to make a decision, and someone says, just flip a coin? It's a simple act, isn't it? A quick flick of the wrist, a small metal disc spinning in the air, then landing with either a heads or tails showing. We use it for small things. Who gets the last slice of pizza? Who goes first in a game? Or even which movie to watch? But here's the thing. This seemingly modern, quick choice actually has roots stretching back thousands of years, to times when life was very different, and people sought answers from the universe itself. Imagine a world without science as we know it. A world where the sun, moon, and stars felt like powerful beings, and every rustle of leaves or flash of lightning held a secret message. For ancient people, life was full of mystery, and making big decisions felt like a heavy burden. They didn't have coins like ours, but they used things like stones, bones, or marked sticks. They would toss these objects, or draw them from a bag, believing that the way they landed, or which one was chosen, was not just random. No, they believed it was a message. It was the will of their gods, or the whisper of fate, guiding them. Think about it this way. If you had to decide where your whole village would move, or if it was the right time to go to war, how would you know what to do? Ancient people often turned to what we call divination, a way of seeking knowledge or answers through special rituals. Tossing an object was one of these ways. It took the heavy weight of the decision off their shoulders. It allowed them to believe that a power greater than themselves was showing them the path. It brought a sense of peace, knowing they had done everything they could to get the right answer. Even in ancient Rome, long before our coins existed, they had a practice called sortition. It involved drawing lots, which were like small marked tokens, to decide things like who would get a certain job or piece of land. It was seen as a fair way, a way that was free from human bias or favoritism. Nobody could complain it was unfair if the gods, or pure chance, made the choice. So, when you flip a coin today, it carries a faint echo of these old ways. We might not believe it's the gods telling us what to do anymore, but it still serves a similar purpose. Sometimes, when we're truly stuck between two equally good or equally bad choices, the coin toss removes the pressure. It makes the decision for us. And sometimes, something interesting happens. As the coin spins, you might suddenly realize which side you hope it lands on. That little moment of hope, or dread, often reveals what you truly wanted all along, deep inside. The coin didn't make your mind up, but it helped you see what was already there. In a way, tossing a coin is still a small surrender. It's letting go of control for a moment, trusting in chance or the universe to point a way. It reminds us that sometimes it's okay to let go, to not have all the answers. And it also shows us how ancient ways of finding peace and guidance still live on, hidden in our everyday actions, waiting for us to notice their quiet, secret story. Why do we clink glasses to toast? Have you ever been at a family dinner, a birthday, or a special gathering, and someone raises a glass, for a toast? And then, there's that small, satisfying sound as glasses gently tap together. Clink. It's a sound we hear often, a tiny moment in a larger celebration. But have you ever stopped to really think about why we do that? Why don't we just raise our glasses in silence? It seems like such a small thing, this sound, but it carries echoes of very old beliefs, some we've forgotten over time. For a long, long time, people around the world believed that spirits, both good and bad, were all around us, always watching. They thought that these invisible beings might try to mess with our good times, maybe even sneak into our bodies or our food. So, to keep the bad spirits away, people developed many rituals. One of them involved making loud noises. Imagine a big party long ago, and suddenly, a loud crash of metal or glass. This loud sound was supposed to scare away any evil spirits lurking nearby. It was like a little alarm bell saying, "Hey, bad vibes, get out of here. This moment is for good feelings only." So, when we clink glasses today, we're still, in a way, chasing away imaginary shadows, keeping our joyful moments safe. There's another old idea, too, about why we clink. In ancient times, life could be dangerous. People worried a lot about trust. Sometimes, enemies would try to hurt others by secretly putting poison into their drinks. It was a scary thought. So, one way to show you trusted someone, and that your own drink was safe, was to clink glasses so hard that a little bit of liquid might splash from your glass into theirs, and vice versa. It was a brave and clear way of saying, "My drink is safe, and I trust that yours is too. We are sharing this moment, truly and openly." This act built a silent bond, a shared promise of safety and friendship. It was about showing honesty in a very physical way. But here's the thing about a toast. It's meant to involve all our senses. When you raise a glass, you see the beautiful colors of the drink. You might smell its scent, and you taste it. But what about sound and touch? When you clink glasses, you add those two senses to the experience. You feel the vibration of the glass in your hand, and you hear that distinct ringing sound. It makes the moment feel more complete, more real. It pulls all parts of you into the celebration. Think about how sound works. When you hit a bell, it vibrates, right? And those vibrations travel through the air as sound waves. When glasses clink, they vibrate too. That vibration travels through the glass, through your hand, and into the hand of the person you're clinking with. It's like a tiny, invisible connection. It's a shared vibration, a shared feeling of joy or goodwill. It's kind of like when you high-five a teammate after a great play, or when you link arms with your friends to walk through a crowd. These are simple actions, but they create a physical connection. They silently say, "We are together in this." The clink of glasses does something similar for our spirit. This simple clink helps us feel like we belong. In a world that can sometimes feel big and a bit disconnected, these small shared rituals tie us together. They remind us that we are part of something larger than ourselves, a family, a group of friends, a community. It's about being truly present with each other, sharing happiness, or even sharing hope during tough times. So, the next time you hear that gentle clink, remember it's more than just a sound. It's an echo from ancient times, a tiny act of trust that brings people closer, and a quiet promise of connection. It's a reminder that even in our busy lives, we share moments, hopes, and dreams with those around us. It's a calm, quiet way of saying, "I see you, I'm with you, and I wish you well." And that in itself is a truly deep and beautiful thing. Crossing your fingers for good luck. Where it came from. Have you ever found yourself in a tricky spot, maybe waiting for test results, or hoping your favorite team wins, and without even thinking, you cross your fingers? It's such a common gesture, something many of us do almost automatically. But have you ever stopped to wonder why? Why do we press our middle finger over our pointer finger, believing it might somehow change what happens next? This small, silent action is actually a whisper from a very old world, a thread connecting us to beliefs people held long, long ago. At its heart, crossing your fingers is a silent plea for good fortune, a little magical wish we send out into the world. It's like a secret handshake with destiny. But the roots of this habit go way back, much further than you might think. Imagine a time when people didn't have science to explain everything. They looked for meaning in symbols, in gestures, in things they could touch and see. One of the oldest ideas connected to crossing fingers comes from ancient times, long before the modern world existed. Back then, many cultures believed that the shape of a cross had special power. Not necessarily a religious cross, but just the idea of two lines meeting, forming an intersection. This point, where two things crossed, was seen as a place where good spirits gathered, or where evil could be kept away. Think of it like a protective shield, a simple shape that held strong power against bad luck or mean spirits. So, if you crossed your fingers, you were creating this powerful symbol right there on your own hand, hoping it would keep you safe or make your wish come true. There's another interesting idea, especially from early Christian times, though the practice might be even older. Imagine a world where expressing your beliefs could be dangerous. Early Christians, facing persecution, might have used crossed fingers as a secret sign to recognize each other. It was a way to show faith without speaking a word, a quiet symbol of unity and shared hope. The cross itself was a powerful emblem for them, and recreating it with their fingers was a way to call upon that strength and protection. But there's an even older version of this gesture that involved two people. Picture this. Someone wanted to make a wish, maybe for health or good harvest. To make that wish stronger, they would cross their pointer finger with a friend's pointer finger. This created a circle of strength, where the wish or belief was held firmly between two people. The crossed fingers acted like a lock, sealing in the hope and making it more powerful. Over time, as societies changed, people started doing it by themselves, crossing their own fingers to create that same sealed-in wish or protection. It was like carrying your own personal good luck charm, always ready. Think about it like this. When you're playing a game, and you really want to win, you might cross your fingers. It's not that the physical act itself makes the ball go into the hoop, or the answer appear on the test. Instead, it's a way of focusing your hope, gathering your inner strength, and sending out that feeling of, please, let this happen. It's a little ritual that helps you feel more hopeful, more in control, even when things are uncertain. So, the next time you cross your fingers, remember that you're not just making a small gesture. You're taking part in an ancient tradition, connecting with countless people from across history who have also hoped for good things, who have looked for small ways to influence their future. It's a quiet reminder of how deeply we, as humans, hold on to hope, and how we've always looked for simple, silent ways to express our deepest wishes and fears, linking our present moment to the mysteries and beliefs of a time long past. The old roots of wedding rings. Have you ever stopped to think about a simple circle, like the one people wear on their ring finger? It's just a piece of metal, right? But for thousands of years, this small circle has held a meaning so deep, so powerful, that we still use it today, without even knowing why. This isn't just a piece of jewelry. It's a whisper from the past, an ancient ritual still alive in our modern world. A wedding ring is much more than just a public sign that someone is married. At its very core, it's a symbol of forever. Think about a circle. It has no beginning, and it has no end. It just keeps going around and around. That's the first and most important idea behind the ring. Endless love. A promise that never breaks. A connection that goes on forever. This idea of a never-ending circle goes way back in time. We can trace its roots to ancient Egypt, thousands of years ago. Back then, people didn't use fancy gold rings. They would weave circles out of reeds, or make them from leather or bone. These early rings were a way to show a deep commitment. They represented not just two people coming together, but also the eternal cycle of life, the sun and the moon. They believed these simple circles held a kind of magic, connecting them to something bigger than themselves. Later, the ancient Romans picked up this tradition. They often used iron rings. Iron was a strong metal, showing the strength and lasting power of a promise. But the Romans added something else, a thought that still influences us. They believed there was a special vein, called the vena amoris, or vein of love, that ran directly from the fourth finger of the left hand straight to the heart. So, wearing the ring on that specific finger was like directly connecting the promise of love to the very core of a person's being. It was a beautiful idea. Even if science later showed that all fingers have veins connected to the heart, the belief itself was what truly mattered. Think about a time you made a pinky promise with a friend. That tiny finger, that small gesture, held a big meaning between you. It was an unspoken agreement, a bond. The wedding ring is like that, but on a much grander scale. It's a silent, constant promise. It's like a never-ending game of tag, where you're always it together, linked in a continuous circle. It's a quiet reminder that some connections, once made, are meant to stretch far beyond what we can see or touch. So, when you see a wedding ring, remember it's not just a shiny object. It's a direct link to ancient hopes and dreams. It's a ritual born from the human heart's oldest desire, to connect deeply, to belong, and to promise a forever that circles back to a beginning with no end. It shows us how something so small and simple can carry the weight of human history, a quiet testament to our enduring need for love and connection. Looping on through the ages, graduation caps and gowns. Not so modern. Think about a graduation ceremony. Maybe you've seen one on television, or an older sibling or cousin has walked across a stage. Everyone wears those special outfits. A long robe, usually black, and that flat square cap. Ever stop to wonder why? Why do we wear these particular clothes to celebrate finishing school? They seem pretty unique, almost out of time, especially compared to the t-shirts and jeans we wear every day. But here's the thing. These robes and caps aren't new at all. They are very, very old. Imagine a time long, long ago in Europe, before central heating was even a dream. Picture students and teachers in huge, drafty stone buildings that served as early universities. This was back in the 12th and 13th centuries. It was often cold, especially during winter. So, people wore warm clothes. Long robes, like cloaks, were common. They weren't about looking fancy. They were about staying comfortable enough to learn. Scholars, who were often also members of the clergy, wore these robes as their everyday outfits. They were practical. But these robes weren't just for warmth. They also showed who was a scholar, who was part of the university. It was like a uniform. Think about a sports team. When everyone wears the same jersey, it shows they belong to that team, right? The robes did a similar job for students and teachers. They showed you were part of the special community of learning. And what about the cap? That flat, square hat, often called a mortarboard? Its exact history is a little fuzzier. Some say it developed from simpler academic caps worn by clergy or tradesmen. Others think it might represent a book, with its flat top, a symbol of knowledge. The tassel, swinging from the cap, also has its own little story, often moved from one side to the other to mark the official moment of graduation. So, when students today put on a cap and gown, they're not just wearing a costume for a party. They are connecting to a long, unbroken line of scholars stretching back hundreds of years. It's like a quiet conversation with the past. These clothes are a reminder that the act of learning, of gaining wisdom, is something humans have valued for a very, very long time. Think of it this way. Imagine you're building a really big tower. Each brick you add builds on the ones before it. Graduation caps and gowns are like those bricks. They represent all the knowledge that has been passed down, layer by layer, from one generation to the next. When you wear one, you're not just celebrating your own achievement. You're stepping into a tradition that honors countless students and teachers who came before you. You're becoming a part of that ancient, ongoing story of knowledge. It's a calm, quiet moment, wearing those clothes. A moment to reflect on how learning isn't just about what you know now, but about joining a bigger journey, a journey that has been going on for centuries. These simple garments hold the deep echoes of all that has been learned, whispered through time, reminding us that knowledge itself is an ancient, shared adventure. High fives and handshakes. What's the difference? Have you ever stopped to think about how much we use our hands to talk without words? We wave hello, point the way, or give a thumbs up. But two special hand gestures, the high five and the handshake, are used all the time. They seem like simple ways to connect, but they hold very different meanings and come from different times. Here's the thing. Knowing their stories helps us see how much history is in our everyday actions. Let's start with the handshake. This is a very old gesture, something people have done for thousands of years. Imagine ancient warriors meeting, or leaders making a deal. Often, they would reach out and grasp hands. Why? Because showing an open, empty hand proved you weren't holding a weapon. It was a clear sign of peace and trust. It said, "I come in friendship, and I mean you no harm. This simple act built trust and made agreements strong. When two people shook hands, it was like a promise made real, a bond formed between them. It's a gesture that carries a lot of weight. It's often used in formal settings, like when you meet someone new, agree on something important, or say goodbye with respect. It's a steady, solid connection, meant to show sincerity and a lasting kind of understanding. Now, think about the high five. This gesture feels much more modern, doesn't it? And it is. Most people agree the high five became popular in the 1970s, especially in sports like basketball. It's a quick, upward slap of palms, often done with a burst of energy. What does it mean? It's a cheer, a celebration, a way to share excitement in the moment. When a basketball player sinks a shot or a team wins a game, high fives are everywhere. It says, "Yes, we did it," or "Great job." It's about shared joy, a sudden burst of happiness, or just cheering someone on. There's a lightness to it, a spontaneous flash of feeling. It's not usually about making a serious promise or showing deep, long-lasting trust. It's about being together in an excited moment. So, here's the difference. Imagine a thunderstorm. The high five is like a sudden, bright flash of lightning, quick, exciting, and full of immediate energy. It's about a moment, a shared feeling right now. The handshake, though, is more like the deep, steady rumble of thunder that follows. It's slower, more grounded, and hints at something lasting, something agreed upon, or a trust that's built over time. One is for immediate joy and shared victory. The other is for respect, trust, and lasting agreement. When you high-five a friend after a great play, you're sharing that quick, happy feeling of success. But when you shake hands with a new teacher or a grown-up you respect, you're stepping into an old tradition, showing trust and respect, building a connection that can last. Both gestures use our hands, both connect us to other people, but they remind us that even the simplest acts can carry thousands of years of meaning. We carry these ancient ways of showing trust, peace, and shared joy forward every day, sometimes without even realizing the deep stories our hands are telling. Why we point with our fingers, and why it matters. Have you ever stopped to think about something as simple as pointing? It's just moving your finger, right? But here's the thing. This everyday gesture is actually one of the oldest, deepest forms of human communication we have. It's a silent language we all understand, a silent agreement to share attention. Imagine our very first ancestors. Long before they had many words, they faced a world full of dangers and discoveries. How would one person tell another, "Look, food," or "danger there"? Before complex language, a pointed finger was the perfect tool. It cut through noise. It removed doubt. It said very clearly, "My attention is here, and I want yours to be here too." It's a shared invitation to see the world through another's eyes, even for a moment. This simple act helped early humans survive, hunt, and learn together. It allowed them to build a shared understanding of their world. Think about it. When you point at something, you're not just showing it. You're asking the other person to look with you. This is called joint attention, and it's incredibly important. It's how we learn. It's how we connect. A baby, before they can even talk, will point at a toy they want, or at a dog they see. They are not just wanting the toy. They are sharing their focus with their parent. They are saying, "I see this, and I want you to see it too." This simple gesture is a foundation for how we learn to talk, how we learn about the world around us, and how we interact with others. It builds a bridge between our thoughts and someone else's. Consider a basketball game. A player catches the ball and quickly points to an open teammate across the court. They don't need to shout their name. They don't need to yell, "Pass here." The simple, quick pointing gesture is enough. It tells the other player exactly where to look, exactly where the opportunity is. It's an instant message, a shared plan, all without a single word. Or think about being lost in a new city. You ask for directions. Someone might say, "Go straight, then turn left." But if they also point, following their arm and finger makes it so much clearer. That pointing gesture guides your eyes, removes confusion, and helps you find your way. It confirms what they're saying. This is why pointing matters so much. It's not just a physical movement, it's a profound social act. When you point, You are literally directing someone's mind. You are saying, let's focus on this together. It's an act of trust, of cooperation, and of shared discovery. It reminds us that even the simplest gestures carry deep meaning, linking us to the earliest forms of human connection. It shows how much we rely on each other to understand the world, to share what we see, and to build knowledge together, one silent, ancient signal at a time. It's a quiet testament to how we've always guided each other, learned together, and built understanding without always needing to speak. The ancient reason we cover our mouths when we yawn. Have you ever stopped to think about why you automatically put your hand over your mouth when you yawn? It's something most of us do without a second thought. It feels natural, a polite thing to do. But what if this simple action, this quick gesture, holds a whisper from a time long, long ago? What if it connects us to beliefs that people held thousands of years ago? Beliefs that shaped their everyday lives? A yawn is an odd thing, isn't it? Your mouth opens wide. You take a deep breath, and then you let it out slowly. It's not something you really control. It just happens. But the act of covering your mouth, that's something we learn, something we're taught, or something we just pick up by watching others. For a long time, people thought this polite habit was just about good manners, about not showing the inside of your mouth, or perhaps stopping germs from spreading. And those are certainly reasons we do it today. But the real, deep roots of this custom go much further back, to a time when the world was seen very differently. Imagine a time before science could explain everything. People looked at the world, and they saw mysteries everywhere. They wondered about what happened when someone slept, or when they dreamed. They wondered about where thoughts came from, and what made a person truly alive. And a yawn, for them, was a powerful and a bit frightening moment. Many ancient cultures believed that when you yawned, your soul, your very essence, could actually leave your body through your open mouth. It was like a little window opening up, and your spirit might just float away. And if your soul could leave, what else could come in? This was the scary part. People believed that evil spirits, or bad luck, or sickness, could fly right into your unprotected body through that open mouth. Think about it. A wide open gateway, just waiting for something unwelcome to enter. So, covering your mouth wasn't just about politeness. It was about protection. It was like putting a shield up, keeping your precious soul safe inside, and blocking out any unwelcome visitors from the unseen world. This idea wasn't unique to one place. In ancient Egypt, people believed this. In ancient Rome, they did too. Even in parts of Europe during the Middle Ages, the fear of evil spirits entering the body during a yawn was very real. Some even believed the devil himself could sneak in. So, people would make the sign of the cross, or just cover their mouths, to ward off these unseen dangers. It was a serious, almost magical act, not just a casual gesture. Here's the thing. While we don't believe in souls escaping or evil spirits entering our bodies anymore when we yawn, the habit stuck around. It became something we just do. It turned into good manners, a sign of respect for those around us. It's like how we say, "bless you," when someone sneezes. That also comes from an old belief that a sneeze was a moment when the soul might leave the body, or that a blessing could keep illness away. These are echoes of old fears and old ways of making sense of the world. So, the next time you feel a yawn coming on, and your hand goes up to cover your mouth, take a moment to think about it. You're not just being polite. You're taking part in a ritual that reaches back through thousands of years of human history. You're sharing a tiny, everyday habit with people who lived in completely different worlds. People who looked at a simple yawn and saw a moment of profound mystery and danger. It shows us how much of what we do, even the small, automatic things, carries the weight and wisdom of the past, connecting us all in ways we rarely even notice. It's a quiet reminder that our present is always built on the deep foundations of what came before. Sharing food. A tradition as old as time. Have you ever stopped to think about why we share food? It's not just about being polite or making sure everyone gets a bite. There's something much deeper happening, something that stretches back to the very beginning of human history. It's an unspoken language, an ancient agreement we still follow, often without realizing its true power. When you offer someone a piece of your snack, or when your family sits down together for a meal, you're doing more than just eating. You're taking part in one of humanity's oldest and most important traditions. To share food is to share life itself. It means you trust the other person. It means you see them as part of your group, part of your tribe. And this idea of sharing, of communal eating, built the very foundations of human society. Think back to a time long, long ago. Imagine our ancient ancestors, living in a world that was wild and sometimes dangerous. Food was not always easy to find. A successful hunt, a bountiful harvest, was a big deal. If one person found food and kept it all to themselves, they might survive that day. But what about tomorrow? What about the day after? If they shared, others would be more likely to share with them in return when they had success. This wasn't just about being nice, it was about survival. It was about creating a safety net, building bonds, and ensuring that the whole group had a better chance of making it. This act of sharing food slowly became more than just a way to survive. It turned into a way to show peace. To eat with someone meant you weren't an enemy. It meant you were willing to sit side by side, to lower your guard. It became a way to seal agreements, to make friendships stronger, and even to welcome strangers. Even today, if you invite someone new to share a meal, it's a powerful way to make them feel accepted and safe. Here's the thing. This deep, ancient meaning still whispers to us in our everyday lives. Think about how you feel when a friend offers you part of their lunch, or when your grandma serves you a special dish. It's not just the food that makes you feel good. It's the care behind it. It's the thought. It's the silent message that says, I see you. I care about you. You belong here. This small act makes your connection stronger. It builds trust, one bite at a time. Scientists who study human behavior often talk about how our brains react to sharing. When we connect with others, especially through shared experiences like eating, our bodies release chemicals that make us feel good, like oxytocin. This chemical is sometimes called the love hormone, or the bonding hormone. It helps us feel connected and trusting. So, when you share a cookie with a classmate, or when you're laughing around a dinner table with your family, your brain is actually helping to strengthen those bonds, just like it did for our ancestors thousands of years ago. The simple act of sharing food, then, is a quiet echo from the past. It's a reminder of what truly matters: connection, community, and the shared journey of life. It shows us that even in a world that feels fast and complicated, the most basic human gestures still hold the deepest meaning. It's a gentle whisper that tells us we are all connected and that we nourish each other, not just with food, but with kindness, trust, and belonging. It's a beautiful, humble tradition that reminds us of our shared humanity, one meal, one bite at a time. How waving goodbye became a thing. Have you ever stopped to think about why we wave goodbye? It's a small, simple movement. We lift our hand, open our palm, and move it back and forth. Everyone seems to do it. You see your friend leave school, you wave. Your family drives away, you wave. But why that particular movement? It feels natural, like something we've always done. But it actually has deep roots, reaching far back into human history. Here's the thing. Many of our everyday actions, the ones we don't even notice, are like echoes from a long, long time ago. Waving goodbye is one of these. Imagine a world without phones, without quick messages. If someone left, especially on a long journey, it might be a very long time before you saw them again, if ever. In ancient times, people needed clear ways to show their feelings and intentions, especially when saying farewell. The earliest forms of waving weren't about saying, see you later. They were about safety and trust. Picture two groups of people meeting, or one person approaching another, thousands of years ago. How would you show you weren't a threat? You'd raise your hand, palm open. This showed you weren't holding a weapon. Your hand was empty. It was a sign of peace, a way of saying, I come with no harm. This simple gesture of an open, empty hand was vital for survival. It built trust. Over time, as societies became more settled, the need to constantly show you weren't carrying a weapon lessened. But the gesture stuck. It began to change its meaning subtly. When someone left, raising an open hand still felt like a sign of peace, but now it was a peaceful farewell. It was a way to say, I wish you well, and I hope for your safe return. The back and forth motion might have developed as a way to make the signal more visible from a distance, or perhaps just a natural way to emphasize the gesture. Think about it like this. When you're on a video call with a friend, and it's time to hang up, you don't just suddenly click end call, do you? Usually, there's a moment. You say bye, maybe see you tomorrow, and your friend says bye back. There's a little exchange, a sort of buffer, before the connection ends. Waving goodbye is a physical, silent version of that buffer. It's a way of slowly, visually, separating. It acknowledges the moment of parting. It's a small ritual that helps us process endings, even small ones. It's also about connection, even in separation. When you wave to someone, you're not just saying, I'm leaving. You're saying, I see you, and I acknowledge our connection, even as we go our separate ways. It's a brief, final, shared moment. It's a message that travels across space, a silent wish sent from one person to another. So, the next time you lift your hand to wave goodbye, remember this. You're not just moving your fingers. You're taking part in an ancient, silent conversation. You're echoing a gesture of peace and trust from thousands of years ago. You're performing a tiny, deep ritual that reminds us of our shared human need to connect, to acknowledge each other, and to gently mark the moments of parting and new beginnings. It's a quiet testament to how even the smallest actions hold centuries of meaning and human feeling. Saying grace before meals, more than just thanks. Have you ever sat down to a meal, maybe with your family or friends, and someone said, let's say grace, or bless the food? In that moment, do you really think about what you are doing, beyond just mumbling some words? Or maybe you just wait for it to be over so you can finally eat. But here's the thing. That simple pause before eating, often called saying grace, is much deeper than just a quick prayer. It's an ancient ritual, one that many of us still perform unknowingly, connecting us to people who lived thousands of years ago. So, what is grace before a meal, really? At its heart, it's a moment of gratitude. It's a quiet thank you. It's about stopping, even for just a few seconds, to recognize the food in front of you. Think about it. Our lives are busy. We rush from school to activities. Our phones buzz, and our minds are full of a million thoughts. Meals can sometimes just be another thing we check off our to-do list, but saying grace asks us to press pause. It invites us to be present, right there, right then, with the food, the people, and the moment. Long, long ago, for ancient people, getting food was not easy. There were no grocery stores. No one could just order a pizza. Every single meal came from hard work, sometimes dangerous hunting, or many hours spent farming. Food was a gift from nature, or from the earth, or from a higher power they believed in. It was a matter of survival. So, when they finally sat down to eat, it felt natural to show thanks. They might thank the sun for helping crops grow, or the animals for giving their lives, or the rain for watering the fields. This act wasn't just a polite custom. It was a deep acknowledgement of how precious and hard-won food was. It was a way to remember that life depended on these gifts, and on the effort it took to get them. And that's why it matters to us today. Even now, we might not hunt our dinner, but think about all the steps that bring food to your plate. Imagine a single banana. Someone planted that tree, cared for it, picked the banana when it was ripe, packed it up, and loaded it onto a truck. That truck drove many miles to a store where someone else unpacked it and put it on a shelf. Then you, or your family, chose it and brought it home. Many hands and much effort went into that one banana. Saying grace, even without specific words, is like taking a tiny breath and recognizing that incredible journey. It's being thankful for the farmers, the truck drivers, the store workers, and even the simple fact that you have enough to eat. It's about appreciating the long chain of things that had to happen for you to have that meal. This quiet practice can change how you feel about eating. Instead of just wolfing down your food, you start to notice it more. You taste it more deeply. You appreciate the warmth, the smell, the texture. It's not just fuel anymore. It's nourishment for your body and a moment to feel connected, So next time you see someone say grace, or if you do it yourself, remember it's not just an old tradition. It's a quiet, powerful echo from the past, reminding us to be thankful for the most basic things that keep us alive, and for the hidden connections that bring them to us. It's a small, calm moment that can make a big difference in how you see the world around you. The history of decorating for holidays. Have you ever stopped to think why we put up lights, hang wreaths, or carve pumpkins when holidays come around? It just feels right, doesn't it? Like something we're supposed to do. But here's the thing. This isn't just about making things look pretty. It's an echo of something much older, a deep, ancient ritual that people have been doing for thousands of years, long before our holidays even existed. We decorate today, but we're tapping into a history that stretches back through time, to people who lived very differently than we do now. Imagine living in a world where the changing seasons truly mattered, where winter meant cold and darkness that could last for months. For ancient peoples, the sun, the trees, and the turning of the year were mysterious and powerful. They watched the days get shorter and shorter, and they felt a real fear that the sun might not come back. So, they did things to encourage it, to show their hope, or to keep bad spirits away during the dark times. This is where decorating really began. Many ancient groups, like the Celts in Europe or the early Norse people, used evergreens. Think about it. During the cold, dark winter, most plants die. But evergreen trees, like pines and firs, stay green and alive. To these early people, evergreens were a symbol of life itself, a sign that warmth and growth would eventually return. They would bring branches of these trees into their homes, not just to look nice, but as a kind of magic to keep life going, to protect their families from the darkness and cold outside. It was a way to remind themselves that even in the toughest times, there was hope. The Romans also decorated their homes and temples during winter festivals. They used holly and ivy, and lit candles to welcome the god of the sun. The Egyptians used palm branches as a symbol of life and renewal during their winter celebrations. These weren't just decorations. They were prayers, protections, and promises that the light would return. Each leaf, each light, had a purpose deeper than just how it looked. It was about survival, about making it through until spring. You can see this idea even in our own lives today. Think about how you might decorate your own room. Maybe you arrange things in a certain way to feel safe, or you put up pictures that make you feel happy. Or maybe you have a special blanket that makes you feel cozy and protected. It's not just a blanket. It brings a certain feeling, a sense of comfort or security. That's a little bit like what ancient decorating was, but on a much bigger, more serious scale. They were trying to call forth comfort and security from the entire natural world around them. Over time, these different ancient customs slowly blended together. As new holidays and beliefs formed, the old ways of decorating got new meanings. The evergreens from ancient European traditions eventually became the Christmas tree. The lights we hang up today recall the ancient fires and candles used to banish darkness and welcome the sun. The pumpkins we carve at Halloween are linked to old harvest festivals and the idea of warding off spirits during a time when the veil between worlds was thought to be thin. We don't usually think of ghosts or sun gods when we hang tinsel, but the impulse, the deep human need to mark time, to bring life and light into our homes, and to feel safe, is still there. So, when you see a decorated tree or a festive display, know that you're doing something much more than just putting up pretty things. You're part of a long, quiet conversation with our ancestors, a way of remembering cycles and hopes that have echoed through human history for thousands of years. It reminds us that even when things feel dark, there is always a promise of light, and that we are all connected by these timeless, comforting rituals. New Year's resolutions, a very old idea. Have you ever thought about making a fresh start? Maybe at the beginning of a new school year, or after a long break? That feeling, that quiet promise to yourself to do things differently, to be better, to try harder, it's a powerful one. We often call these New Year's resolutions. It's that moment when the calendar turns, and we decide, this year, I'm going to read more books, or I'm going to be kinder, or I'm finally going to clean my room every week. It feels like a very modern thing, something we just do now, right? But here's the thing. This idea of making resolutions, of setting goals for a new year, isn't new at all. In fact, it's one of the oldest human practices we still carry out without even realizing its deep roots. Imagine people living thousands of years ago. They didn't have fancy calendars like ours, but they had their own ways of marking time. The seasons changing, the moon cycles, the turning of the sun. And with these natural shifts, they also felt a need for a fresh beginning. The ancient Babylonians, for example, lived in Mesopotamia, that's modern-day Iraq, about 4,000 years ago. They are often credited with having the earliest recorded New Year's celebrations during a festival called Akitu. Their new year was in March, around the spring equinox, when crops were planted and the world felt reborn. For them, it wasn't just about personal goals like getting better grades. It was a deeply serious time to promise their gods they would return borrowed farm equipment or pay off debts. It was also a moment for the king to be reconfirmed in his power. This was a time of true renewal for the whole community, a chance to get things right with both their neighbors and their powerful gods. They believed that if they made these sincere promises and honored their word, their crops would grow abundantly and their communities would thrive, ensuring safety and good fortune for everyone. Then, much later, the Romans took up a similar practice, though their reasons were slightly different. Around 46 BC, Emperor Julius Caesar introduced the Julian calendar, which firmly set the 1st of January as the start of the new year. This month was named after Janus, the Roman god of beginnings and transitions. Janus had two faces, one looking forward into the future and one looking backward at the past. It's a perfect image for what we do with resolutions, isn't it? We naturally look back at what we did, the mistakes we made or the things we wish we'd done differently, and then we look forward with hope to what we want to become. The Romans would make promises to Janus, often about how they would behave or what good deeds they would perform in the coming year, hoping for good fortune and a successful future under his watchful eyes. So, whether it was the Babylonians making promises to their powerful gods, or the Romans making vows to Janus, the core idea was always the same, a deep-seated human desire for improvement and fresh starts. This isn't just about ancient superstition or long-forgotten beliefs. It points to something very profound inside all of us, something that transcends time and culture. It's the human spirit's constant pull towards growth, towards shedding old habits that don't serve us well, and courageously embracing new, better ways of living. It's fundamentally about hope, and the powerful, enduring belief that tomorrow can truly be better than today, if we just try. Think about it like this. When you start a new notebook for school, don't you feel a little different about it? The first few pages are so neat, your handwriting is careful, you might even use different colored pens. You promise yourself you'll keep this notebook perfectly organized all year. Maybe that doesn't always last, but that initial feeling, that fresh start, is powerful. Or think about a video game where you can reset your character or start a new game. You get to learn from past mistakes and try a different strategy this time, hoping for a better outcome. That's very much like a resolution, just on a grander scale for your life. This ancient ritual, disguised as our modern New Year's resolution, is a reminder that humans have always looked for moments to reset, to reflect, and to aim higher. It's a quiet testament to our shared desire to become our best selves. We may not promise gods or emperors anymore, but the hope that fills us as we look towards a new year, a new beginning, is a timeless echo of those who came before us. It shows us that deep down, we all believe in the power of a fresh start, and in the quiet strength of making a promise to ourselves. For ourselves, wearing white to a wedding, a royal tradition. Have you ever stopped to think why almost every bride you see wears a white dress on her wedding day? It feels so natural, so expected, like it's just the way it's always been. Many people might tell you it's a symbol of purity, of innocence, and a fresh start. And while white can represent those things, the real reason this tradition started is actually much more recent, and it has a fascinating story tied to power and influence. It's a perfect example of an ancient ritual we unknowingly perform, even though it's not as ancient as you might think. Here's the thing. For a long time, brides didn't really have a specific color for their wedding dresses. They often just wore their best dress, whatever color it happened to be. Sometimes it was blue, which was seen as a sign of faithfulness. Sometimes it was red, or even black. It was more about showing off wealth and status through expensive fabrics and rich colors. Think about it. Before washing machines and easy dry cleaning, keeping white clothes clean was incredibly difficult, especially for special occasions. So, wearing white wasn't practical, and it certainly wasn't the main tradition. So, what changed? We can actually trace this widespread tradition back to one person, Queen Victoria of England. Back in 1840, when she married her cousin, Prince Albert, she made a truly surprising choice. Instead of a dress made of rich, colorful silks or velvets, she chose a gown of simple white satin. But why? She wasn't just trying to be different. Her decision was partly a statement of support for the British lace industry, which was struggling at the time. Her dress was covered in beautiful white lace made in England. By wearing it, she was basically saying, "Look at this amazing British craft." And that's why it matters. Queen Victoria was incredibly popular and influential. She was royalty, a trendsetter of her time. When images of her stunning white wedding dress were shared around the world, it started a fashion revolution. Suddenly, everyone wanted to be like the Queen. If Queen Victoria wore white, then white became the color of choice for weddings. It wasn't about an old tradition. It was about a new, powerful trend. It was about copying a queen. This is a bit like how trends spread today, isn't it? Think about a specific type of sneaker, or a particular social media challenge. Someone popular starts it, maybe a famous musician or a TikTok creator. Suddenly, everyone wants those sneakers, or everyone is trying that dance move. You might not even know why it started, but you see everyone else doing it, and so you do it too. That's how Queen Victoria's white dress became a global phenomenon. Her single choice, made for specific reasons in the 1840s, quietly transformed what we now consider a timeless custom. So, when we see a bride in a white dress, we're not just looking at a beautiful outfit. We're witnessing the quiet, enduring power of history and influence. We are, in a small way, still following a trend set by a queen almost 2 centuries ago, long after the original reasons for her choice have been forgotten. It reminds us that so many of the things we do, the traditions we hold dear, often have simple human beginnings, rooted in moments and choices that echo through time, shaping our present in ways we rarely even notice. It's a gentle whisper from the past, guiding our steps today. Breaking bread together, a symbol of trust. Have you ever stopped to think about why sharing a meal with someone feels so different from just talking to them? Why does it feel like a deeper connection forms when you pass a plate or share a pizza? It might seem like a simple thing, but this act of breaking bread together carries a secret history, a quiet echo from thousands of years ago that we still feel today. Here's the thing. For people in ancient times, the world was a much more dangerous place. Strangers were often a threat. You had to be on guard. So, when someone invited you to eat with them, it was a huge deal. Imagine a traveler arriving in a strange village. If the villagers offered them food, it was a powerful sign. It meant, "We see you. We welcome you. We are not going to harm you." When you share a meal, you become vulnerable. You put down your weapons. You focus on eating, not fighting. And that's why it matters. This ancient act wasn't just about feeding someone. It was about showing trust. It was a promise of peace. Think about it this way. If you're eating with someone, it's hard to also be planning to attack them. If you're sharing food from the same pot, you're basically saying, "I trust that you won't poison me, and you can trust that I won't harm you." This simple sharing of food created a bond, a temporary peace, sometimes even a lasting friendship. It was a way to turn strangers into allies or even into family. It wasn't just physical nourishment, it was emotional and social nourishment too. Consider how this plays out in our own lives, even now. When you invite a new friend over for dinner, or share your lunch with someone at school, what happens? You're not just giving them food, you're inviting them into your space. You're letting your guard down a little. Think about how many important conversations happen around a dinner table, not just in movies, but in your own home. Families connect, friends share secrets, and even deals are made over food. It's because the shared meal creates a relaxed, open atmosphere. It signals that you are safe, that you belong. From a scientific point of view, when we feel safe and connected, our brains release chemicals like oxytocin. This hormone is sometimes called the cuddle hormone because it helps us bond with others. Sharing food, laughing, and talking together around a table can trigger this feeling of closeness and trust. So, while we don't consciously think about ancient dangers every time we eat together, our bodies and minds still react in a way that's rooted in those old human experiences. The warmth, the feeling of safety, the connection, it's all there, woven into the simple act of breaking bread. So, the next time you sit down to share a meal with someone, take a moment to really feel the depth of that act. It's more than just filling your stomach. It's a quiet continuation of one of humanity's oldest rituals. It's a silent language of connection, a deep symbol of trust that crosses centuries. In a world that can still feel uncertain, choosing to break bread with someone is a profound way to build bridges, to show kindness, and to remember that we are all, at our core, looking for connection and safety. It's a quiet way of saying, I trust you. We are together. Why we don't walk under ladders. Have you ever walked down a street, seen a ladder leaning against a building, and found yourself stepping around it, even if there was plenty of room to go under? Maybe you didn't even think about it. You just did it. It's one of those things many of us do without really knowing why. It feels like an unspoken rule, a quiet understanding that walking under a ladder might bring bad luck. But where does this idea come from? Why do so many of us still follow this old custom, even if we don't truly believe in bad luck? Here's the thing. This isn't just a silly superstition. It's actually a really old idea, going back thousands of years. To understand it, we have to look at what a ladder leaning against a wall creates. A triangle. Think about that shape for a moment. In ancient times, and even today in many beliefs, the triangle is a very powerful symbol. For Christians, it represents the Holy Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. This triangle was seen as a sacred space, a holy place. So, walking through it, or breaking that sacred triangle, was seen as an act of disrespect, like you were inviting bad things in or going against what was holy. People believed it could open a door for evil spirits or bring bad fortune because you were messing with a sacred boundary. But the idea goes back even further than that. In ancient Egypt, ladders weren't just for climbing. They were also seen as a way to get to the heavens, a path for the gods or for the souls of the dead to reach the afterlife. So, if you walked under a ladder, you might be blocking that path, or disturbing something truly important and spiritual. It was a serious offense in their minds. Then, there's a more chilling historical reason. Think about medieval times. When people were executed, especially by hanging, they often used a ladder or a gallows that looked like a ladder leaning against a structure. So, the space under a ladder became linked with death, with execution, and with the spirits of those who had died there. No one wanted to walk through a place that might be haunted by such dark memories or invite such a terrible fate. It was a place to avoid, simply because of what had happened there. And, of course, there's a super simple, practical reason too. It's just plain dangerous. If someone is working on a ladder, paint can spill, tools can fall, or the ladder itself might slip. So, avoiding walking under one is also just common sense, a way to stay safe. But the deeper, older reasons are much more interesting, aren't they? What's really fascinating is how these old beliefs stick around. We might not believe in evil spirits or sacred triangles the way people did thousands of years ago, but the habit remains. It's like when everyone in a group stands up for the national anthem, even if some people don't fully understand why. They do it because everyone else does it, and it feels right, like part of a shared experience. We learn from what we see around us. Our parents or older friends might step around a ladder, and we just pick up that habit without ever asking why. It becomes a quiet ritual, a little piece of history living in our everyday actions. So, the next time you step around a ladder, you're not just avoiding bad luck. You're actually connecting with people from ancient Egypt, medieval Europe, and countless generations who walked before you. You're part of a long, unbroken chain of human behavior, carrying forward a little piece of the past, often without even realizing it. It shows us how deeply history and tradition are woven into the very fabric of our lives, shaping the smallest, most automatic choices we make every single day. Spilling salt, an ancient bad luck sign. Have you ever been in the kitchen, perhaps reaching for the salt shaker, and suddenly it slips? A scattering of white crystals explodes across the countertop, maybe even the floor. For a split second, you might feel a little jolt, and then, without even thinking, some people might quickly grab a pinch of the spilled salt and toss it over their left shoulder. It's almost automatic, a small, quiet ritual. But have you ever stopped to wonder why? Why do we do that? And where did this strange idea come from? The belief that spilling salt brings bad luck is incredibly old, stretching back thousands of years. It comes from a time when salt was far more than just a seasoning we add to our fries. Back then, salt was incredibly valuable. Think of it like gold or diamonds are today. It was hard to get, especially in places far from the sea. People needed it to keep food from spoiling long before refrigerators existed. Without salt, meat and fish would go bad quickly. So, salt was essential for survival. It meant the difference between having enough to eat through winter and starving. Because it was so important, salt also became a symbol of many big ideas. It stood for purity, something clean and untainted. It was used in religious ceremonies and rituals. People made deals with salt, meaning they were serious and committed. Just like we say, a person is worth their salt when they are reliable. And if something was truly precious, people would say it was worth its weight in salt. Roman soldiers, for instance, were sometimes even paid with salt instead of money. That's how precious it was. So, imagine how it felt to spill something so precious. It wasn't just a small mess. It was like throwing away valuable resources, something that could keep you alive. Wasting salt was seen as a terrible mistake, a sign of carelessness, and maybe even a disrespect for something sacred. This idea grew into the belief that spilling salt was an omen, a sign that something bad was about to happen. It was like the universe telling you that you were unlucky, or that you had just invited misfortune into your life. One famous story that helps cement this belief is tied to a very old painting. In the famous painting of the Last Supper, which shows Jesus and his disciples, a small detail catches the eye: a spilled salt cellar right next to Judas Iscariot. Judas, as you might know, was the disciple who betrayed Jesus. This image, repeated in art and stories, linked spilled salt directly to betrayal, bad luck, and evil. So, if you spilled salt, it was like you were inviting something truly awful into your world. But why throw it over your left shoulder? Well, in ancient times, people believed that evil spirits, like little mischievous imps, lurked right behind you, especially on your left side. They were thought to whisper bad thoughts into your ear and try to trip you up. So, if you spilled salt and invited bad luck, you quickly threw a pinch of that precious pure salt over your left shoulder. It was a way of blinding or distracting those evil spirits, a quick move to scare them off and cancel out the bad luck you just caused. It was a small act of defense, like putting up a shield. Think about it like this. If you accidentally dropped your phone and the screen cracked, you'd feel a rush of disappointment, right? You might even mutter, "Oh, great, just my luck." Spilling salt was that same kind of moment, but on a much bigger scale, because salt meant survival. The little ritual of throwing it over your shoulder was a way to feel like you were taking back control, doing something to fix the mistake and push away the feeling of dread. It was a way for people to feel a bit safer in a world that often felt unpredictable and scary. Even today, when salt is cheap and we have refrigerators, the old habit sticks around. We might not truly believe a spilled shaker means doom, but there's a tiny part of us that still feels that old unease. We toss the salt, maybe with a little chuckle, but it's a silent nod to those who came before us. It reminds us that sometimes our actions, even the small, everyday ones, are connected to stories and beliefs that are much older and deeper than we realize. It's a whisper from the past, reminding us how much we still carry with us, unknowingly, from ancient times. The ritual of giving flowers. Have you ever stopped to really think about why we give flowers? It's a common thing, isn't it? We give them for birthdays, for goodbyes, for celebrations, or when someone is sad. A simple bunch of colorful blooms, handed from one person to another. But here's the thing. This act, so common today, is actually a very old and deep ritual that people have been doing for thousands of years, often without even realizing why. Giving flowers is a way to speak without words. It's a silent language. Think about it. When you give someone a flower, you're not just giving them a pretty plant. You're giving them a symbol, a message, a piece of beauty from the natural world. It's an ancient way we express feelings that might be too big or too complicated to say out loud. Long, long ago, in ancient civilizations like Egypt, Greece, and Rome, flowers were used in almost every important part of life. They were offerings to gods and goddesses, decorations for sacred spaces, and symbols in rituals for birth, marriage, and death. People believed different flowers held different powers or meanings. A lily might mean purity, while a rose spoke of love. It was like a secret code, a way to communicate feelings and thoughts using nature's own art. In some cultures, people even created entire languages of flowers, where the type, color, and even the way you gave a flower could tell a whole story. A yellow rose, for instance, might mean friendship, while a red one was for deep love. Imagine being able to send a detailed message to someone just by choosing the right flowers. It was a powerful way to share emotions when words weren't enough, or when society didn't allow certain things to be spoken openly. So, what does this mean for us today? When you pick up a bouquet for someone, you're tapping into this incredibly old tradition. You might not know the exact ancient meaning of every petal, but the feeling behind the act is still the same. It's about sharing something beautiful, something living, to mark a moment or connect with another person. It's like when you find a perfect, smooth skipping stone by the water. You hold it, you feel its coolness, and maybe you want to share that small, quiet piece of wonder with someone important to you. You give it to them not just as a rock, but as a token of your experience, a shared feeling. Flowers are similar, but with so much more history woven into their stems and petals. They carry the weight of human connection through countless generations. This ritual reminds us that even in our modern world, some of the most meaningful things we do are echoes of the past. When we give flowers, we are performing a ritual that connects us to people who lived thousands of years ago. It's a quiet whisper from history, reminding us that certain human feelings, love, sorrow, joy, comfort, are timeless. And so is our need to express them beautifully and simply through the enduring gift of a flower. The polite way to eat. Table manners deep past. Have you ever stopped to think about how you eat? Not just what you eat, but how you do it. Why do we use forks and knives, or wait for everyone at the table before we begin? These aren't just random rules parents made up. These ways of eating, what we call table manners, reach back into a very old and deep part of human history. Here's the thing. For thousands of years, eating together was a dangerous business. Imagine a time before grocery stores, before refrigerators. Food was hard to find and precious. When people gathered to eat, especially with strangers, tension was common. Was the food safe? Could someone sneak a weapon? Because of these fears, people slowly created unspoken rules, rituals, around eating. These rules weren't just about being polite, they were about survival. They showed you could be trusted. Think about it. In ancient times, a knife wasn't just for cutting food. It was a weapon. Showing you could handle a knife at the table without threatening anyone was a big deal. People started putting personal knives away, using shared table knives. Then later, forks. The fork, by the way, was seen as strange for a long time. People thought it was too fancy when fingers worked fine. But over centuries, using these tools properly became a way to show you were civilized, that you understood the meal's unspoken agreement, safety, sharing, and peace. This is similar to rules we have on a school bus. No one tells you exactly where to sit or how loud to talk, but there are unwritten rules about respect and not bothering others. If someone yells or throws things, it makes the ride bad for everyone. Table manners are like those bus rules, but much older. They create a safe, calm space where everyone knows what to expect. So, when you see someone reaching across the table or talking with their mouth full, it doesn't just feel rude. It taps into something very old in our minds. It breaks an ancient, silent promise about how we share food and space. Such actions once meant danger or deep disrespect. The ritual of waiting for everyone to be served before you eat is another example. This isn't just about good manners. It's about recognizing everyone present. It's a quiet way of saying, we are all in this together. It signals a shared experience, a moment of community. When food was scarce, this was a powerful act of unity and equality. It showed the group would eat together, and if there wasn't enough for everyone, the problem was shared. Even small things, like chewing with your mouth closed, echo this deep past. It's not just about sounds. It's about not being messy, showing control. Imagine if everyone at a shared meal was slurping and spitting. That would quickly turn chaotic and unpleasant. The rules around eating are about keeping the peace, showing we are part of a group, and respecting the shared space. So the next time you pick up a fork, or wait for the last plate to be served, know you are not just following a polite rule. You are part of a ritual thousands of years old. You echo the actions of ancestors who learned that to eat together, to survive and thrive, required trust and mutual respect. These quiet actions at the dinner table are ancient whispers telling us how to live together, how to truly see and value the people we share our lives and meals with. They are a gentle reminder that even simple actions can hold the deepest meanings about what it means to be human and to belong. The ritual of waiting in line. Queuing. Have you ever really stopped to think about how much of your life is spent waiting? Not just waiting for a birthday or for summer break, but waiting in a line. At the school cafeteria, at the movie theater, or even just for your turn on a video game. It's such a normal part of our day. We barely notice it. But here's the thing. This act of waiting in line, of queuing as it's called, is actually a very old, very deep ritual that we perform almost without thinking. What is waiting in line? It seems simple. It's just standing one behind the other, waiting for your turn. But it's more than just a physical arrangement, it's an unspoken agreement. It's a promise we make to each other. I will wait patiently, and you will too. And when it's my turn, I will get what I've waited for. It's about order. It's about fairness. It's about everyone getting an equal chance, even if that chance means waiting a bit. Think about it. Why don't we just all rush forward at once? Imagine 100 people all trying to get into the same doorway at the same time. Chaos, noise, maybe even injuries. So, somewhere deep in our history, humans figured out that waiting your turn was a better way. It might have started in ancient times, when people needed to share scarce resources like water from a well or food after a hunt. If everyone fought for it, no one truly benefited. So, rules were made, perhaps simply by gesture, or by the strongest allowing others to go first, or by the slowest being forced to wait. Over centuries, this idea of taking turns became a built-in part of how we live together. It became a social norm, something we learn from a very young age. Even though no one usually tells you how to stand in line, you just know. You see the end of the line, and you go there. You don't try to push in front. This shared understanding, this silent agreement, is what allows us to live in large groups without constant conflict. It's not just about politeness. It's about survival and efficiency. Societies that could manage their resources and people in an orderly way often thrived. You can see this in places other than just human lines. Think about a busy ant colony. Ants don't just swarm randomly. They have pathways, almost like tiny ant highways, where they travel in orderly lines to find food and bring it back. If they all just rushed in every direction, they'd bump into each other, slow down, and waste energy. Their queuing system, though different from ours, helps the whole colony work better. Or consider a simple school fire drill. Everyone lines up and walks out calmly. It's not just a rule. It's a practice that keeps everyone safe. The order, the waiting for the person in front of you, ensures a smooth exit in an emergency. It's like a quiet dance that everyone knows the steps to, even without music. So, the next time you find yourself waiting in a line, don't just see it as wasted time. See it as something much bigger. It's a quiet reminder of our shared humanity. It's a moment where we all agree to put the common good, the idea of fairness, ahead of our individual desire to be first. It teaches us patience, yes, but it also shows us how we connect without words. Every time we join a line, we are performing an ancient ritual, a small act of cooperation that has kept us organized and moving forward for thousands of years. It's a deep, unspoken language of respect, a testament to our ability to live together peacefully in a crowded world. And that's why it matters. Why people bow. Even a little nod counts. Have you ever thought about why we nod our heads? Or why, when someone older or important walks by, you might lean forward just a tiny bit, almost without thinking? It's not just a polite habit. These small movements, from a deep bow to a quick nod, are echoes of ancient rituals. They tell a story about how humans have always connected, shown respect, and understood each other long before words were common. Think about bowing. When we see it in movies, especially from places like Japan or Korea, it looks formal and deep. Someone bends from the waist, sometimes very low. This isn't just a fancy greeting. It's a powerful way to show honor, gratitude, or even apology. A deep bow says, "I recognize your importance," or "I am truly sorry." It's a physical act that puts one person in a position of humility before another, showing they aren't a threat. But here's the thing. You probably bow or do something very similar almost every day without calling it that. When your teacher asks a question in class and you quickly nod your head to show you understand, that's a form of bowing. When you bump into someone and say, "Excuse me," often your head dips slightly, your shoulders might even round a little. This small movement is a tiny, modern bow. It's a way of saying, "My mistake. I acknowledge you, and I mean no harm." Where did this come from? Way back, in ancient times, showing respect was super important for living together. Imagine a world with no police or written laws. People needed clear ways to show they were friendly, not enemies. A bow was perfect for this. When you bowed, especially deeply, you were making yourself vulnerable. Your head, your neck, these are exposed. It's like saying, "I trust you. I am not holding a weapon, and I am not attacking." It showed peaceful intentions. This simple gesture helped build trust between people, allowing communities to grow. Think about how a dog might roll onto its back to show another, bigger dog that it's not a threat. That's an animal version of showing humility, like a bow. For humans, it developed into a complex language of gestures. A quick dip of the head to acknowledge someone as you pass them in the hallway is a fast, simple way to say, "I see you. We are okay." It's like a short-form everyday agreement to exist peacefully together. This is why it matters. These small acts of recognition help build the tiny bridges between us in daily life. In some cultures, bowing shows humility not just to other people, but to ideas or even the universe. Monks might bow many times during prayer, not to a person, but to show their devotion and their place in the world. It's a way of letting go of pride, of understanding that you are part of something bigger. So, the next time you see someone nod, or you find yourself slightly dipping your head when you pass an adult, remember this. You are taking part in a very old, very human tradition. You are not just making a small movement. You are sending a message that goes back thousands of years. It's a silent, powerful way of communicating respect, understanding, and our shared humanity. Even a little nod counts, because it connects us, quietly, to everyone who has ever lived and understood the simple power of acknowledging another soul. It reminds us that even in our smallest gestures, we carry deep history and meaning. The deep meaning of a hug. Have you ever stopped to really think about a hug? Not just what it looks like, but what it feels like deep down inside? We hug our friends, our family, sometimes even our pets. It seems like such a simple thing, right? Just two people wrapping their arms around each other. But here's the thing. A hug is far, far more than just a squeeze. It's a powerful, ancient ritual we still perform every day, often without even knowing it. Imagine going back in time, way back, to when humans first walked the earth. Life was hard. There were dangers everywhere. People needed each other to survive. They lived in groups or tribes. And how did they show they trusted each other? How did they share warmth on a cold night, or comfort someone who was scared? Often, It was through close physical touch, like a hug. This wasn't just a friendly gesture they invented yesterday. It's a deep, silent agreement that has been passed down for thousands of years. It's a primal act of connection. Think about it. When you hug someone, you are stepping into their personal space. You are showing them you feel safe with them, and you want them to feel safe with you. It's a moment where two worlds, two separate bodies, meet and merge for a brief time. There's a quiet energy shared. It's a way of communicating something words often can't capture. When a friend is upset, or you're feeling lonely, sometimes a hug says more than any speech ever could. It says, "I understand," or "You are not alone." And there's real science behind why hugs feel so good and are so important. When you hold someone close, your brain releases a special chemical. It's called oxytocin. Some people call it the cuddle hormone or the love hormone. What does it do? It makes you feel good. It helps you feel connected to others. It can calm you down and make you feel safe. It even helps lower stress. So, a hug isn't just nice, it's actually good for your mental and emotional health. It's a natural way your body tells you, this is safe, this is good. Consider how a baby instinctively reaches out for a hug from its parents. Or how you might hug a stuffed animal when you're little and scared. This isn't taught. It's something deep within us, a basic human need for connection and comfort. In a world that often feels busy and sometimes lonely, a hug is a simple anchor. It reminds us of our shared humanity, our need for belonging. The next time you give or receive a hug, pause for a moment. Feel the quiet energy of it. Recognize that you are participating in a timeless act. You are reaching across the space between two people, offering comfort, trust, and connection. You are carrying on a ritual that has helped humans survive and thrive for countless generations. It's a quiet testament to the power of human touch, a profound message delivered in the most gentle way, linking us all to the very roots of our existence. It reminds us that even in our modern lives, the oldest, simplest gestures often hold the deepest meaning. Lighting fires. From ancient camps to holiday cheer, have you ever just sat and watched a fire? Maybe it was a small candle flickering on a birthday cake, or a crackling campfire under the stars. Perhaps it was a cozy fireplace during the holidays, or even the bright, twinkling lights wrapped around a Christmas tree. What is it about that glow, that warmth, that pulls us in? It's more than just light and heat. It's a feeling, deep inside us, echoing from a time long, long ago. Here's the thing about fire. For ancient humans, it was everything. Imagine a world before electricity, before heaters, before even simple lamps. When the sun went down, darkness was absolute. And in that darkness lived dangers, cold, wild animals, unknown sounds. Fire changed all of that. It brought light to the night, pushing back the shadows. It brought warmth, allowing people to survive harsh winters. It cooked food, making it safer and easier to eat. So, fire wasn't just a tool, it was a lifesaver. It was protection. But fire was also something more. It was a gathering place. When the first humans huddled around a flickering flame, they weren't just staying warm. They were together. Stories were told in the shifting light and shadows. Plans were made. Laughter was shared. Fire became the center of their world, a symbol of community and safety. It was where families formed bonds, where tribes found strength. And because it was so vital, so powerful, fire also became sacred. Many ancient cultures saw fire as a gift from the gods, something magical and mysterious. They used it in ceremonies, in rituals, to mark important moments like births, deaths, and the changing seasons. The light of a fire was a link between the human world and something greater. Now, think about your own life today. When we light birthday candles, we make a wish. When we gather around a campfire with friends, we share stories and make memories. During the holidays, many homes glow with electric lights, and families gather around fireplaces. Even if just for the look and feel of it, we might light candles for a special dinner, or watch fireworks explode in the night sky on a holiday. These actions might seem simple, just part of our traditions. But here's what's interesting. We are unknowingly carrying on the ancient meanings of fire. The birthday candle's flame, though small, still represents hope and new beginnings, much like an ancient fire promised a new day. The campfire, with its warmth and glow, still creates a space for sharing and belonging, just like it did for our earliest ancestors. And those twinkling holiday lights? They echo the ancient need to bring light into the darkest part of the year, to ward off gloom, and to celebrate the promise of returning light. It's not about surviving the cold anymore, not for most of us, but the deep, comforting feeling of togetherness and hope still remains. So, when you see a flame, or even just the warm glow of many lights together, take a moment to really look. Remember that you are connecting to something truly old, something universal. You are tapping into an instinct that has lived in people for thousands of years. It's a quiet reminder that we are all part of a long human story, and that the simple acts of warmth and light continue to bring us together, just as they always have. We carry this ancient wisdom in our hearts, even if we don't always know it. The ceremony of washing hands, more than just clean. Have you ever stopped to really think about washing your hands? We do it so many times a day, almost without thinking. Before we eat, after we use the restroom, when we come home from outside. Most times, it's just about getting rid of germs, right? But what if this simple act, this everyday habit, holds a much deeper meaning than just cleanliness? What if it's something we've been doing for thousands of years, not just for our bodies, but for our minds and spirits too? Here's the thing. For people in ancient times, and in many cultures even today, washing hands wasn't only about hygiene. It was a powerful ceremony. It was a way to mark a change, to get ready for something important, or to let go of something that happened. Think of it like pressing a reset button. They believed that when you washed your hands, you weren't just cleaning off dirt from the outside world. You were also washing away worries, bad feelings, or things that might have made your spirit feel heavy. Imagine a priest or a leader in ancient Egypt washing their hands before entering a sacred temple, or someone from a long-ago village washing their hands before a big feast. They weren't just thinking about germs, they were preparing themselves. They were telling themselves and the world that they were leaving one state and entering another. It was a way to show respect, to become pure, or to get ready for a serious task ahead. Across many different religions, from Judaism to Islam to Hinduism, and even in some Christian traditions, the washing of hands before prayer or important rituals is a very old practice. It's a quiet moment, a way to cleanse not just the skin, but also the mind, making it ready to focus on something higher or more meaningful. This isn't so different from things we do today, even without realizing it. Think about a time you might have been really upset, maybe after an argument or a frustrating day at school. Sometimes, just stepping into the bathroom and washing your hands and face with cool water can feel like a small, fresh start. It's not just the water making you feel better. It's the action itself. It's like a quiet signal to your brain that you're leaving that difficult moment behind and getting ready to move forward. Or maybe you're working on something really messy, like painting or gardening. When you finally wash your hands, it's not just about getting clean. It's also about saying, okay, that part is done. Now I can do something else. It helps your mind switch gears. Even in science, we see how our physical actions can connect to our thoughts. Psychologists have found that sometimes, after making a difficult decision, people who wash their hands feel less doubt about their choice. It's like the act of washing helps them literally wash their hands of the old worries and embrace the new path. It's a very simple but powerful connection between what we do with our bodies and how our minds feel. So, the next time you stand at the sink, running water over your hands, pause for a moment. It's more than just soap and water. It's a quiet echo of an ancient wisdom, a chance to let go, to reset, and to prepare. It's a small, gentle ceremony, hiding right there in your everyday life, waiting for you to notice its quiet power. Counting down the new year, an old way to celebrate. Have you ever stopped to really think about New Year's Eve? Not just the fireworks or the staying up late, but that moment right before midnight. The way everyone gathers, eyes fixed on a clock or screen, and then starts to count 10, 9, 8. What is it about those last few seconds that feels so important, so powerful? Here's the thing. This idea of counting down to a new beginning isn't just a modern party tradition. It's a very old, very human way of looking at time and change. Long before we had accurate clocks or even calendars, people looked to the world around them to know when one part of life ended and another began. They watched the sun, the moon, the stars, and the seasons. They noticed when the longest night of the year passed, or when the first tiny green shoots of spring pushed through the cold earth. These were their countdowns. Imagine living thousands of years ago. You didn't know the exact minute a new day started, but you knew when the sun began its slow journey back into the sky after the long winter darkness. You might gather with your family and friends, not to count seconds, but to simply wait, feeling the shift, hoping for the return of warmth and light. This waiting, this shared anticipation of a fresh start, was a ritual. It was a way for people to feel connected to the powerful cycles of nature and to each other. They would mark the end of the harvest, or the flooding of a river that brought new, rich soil, knowing that these endings were also the beginnings of something new. It's like how a tree prepares for winter. All its leaves fall, and it looks bare, even dead. But we know deep down that it's not truly gone. It's just resting, waiting for the right moment. And then, as spring gets ready to arrive, there's this quiet, invisible countdown happening in the tree itself. Soon, tiny buds will appear, and then, suddenly, new green leaves burst forth. That burst isn't random. It's the culmination of a slow, careful process, a natural countdown to renewal. Just like that tree, we too go through cycles of shedding the old and welcoming the new. So, when you stand there, counting down the last seconds of the year, you're doing something much older than just celebrating with friends. You are tapping into a rhythm that connects us to every human who has ever lived. You are taking part in a quiet, collective breath, a moment of letting go of what was and turning together towards the unknown but hopeful future. It's a reminder that every ending carries the seeds of a new beginning, and that time isn't just a straight line, but a continuous loop of chances to start fresh, to grow, and to hope. The roots of funeral customs. Have you ever stopped to think about why we do what we do when someone passes away? It's a very difficult time, full of big feelings. But here's the thing. Across the world, and across all of human history, people have always found ways to mark the end of a life. These aren't just random acts. They are ancient practices, born from deep human needs. When we talk about funeral customs, we're talking about the ways communities deal with death. These ways include ceremonies, special clothes, gatherings, and even how we treat the body of the person who has died. It's about saying goodbye, but it's also about much more than that. It's about remembering the person, honoring their life, and helping those left behind cope with their sadness. It helps us understand that life has changed in a big way. Think way back, thousands and thousands of years ago, long before books or even cities existed. Early humans faced death just like we do. A loved one would be gone. And that absence, that quiet space where someone used to be, was a powerful, confusing feeling. So, people started doing things. They buried their dead, sometimes with tools or special objects. Why? We can only guess, but it seems like they believed there was something more. Perhaps a journey to another place, or that the person's spirit lived on. Maybe they wanted to keep wild animals away from the body, or maybe it was just a way to keep the person close, even after they were gone. These early actions were the seeds of what we now call funeral customs. They were attempts to make sense of something scary and unknown. They helped people grieve together, and they helped the living feel connected to those who had left them. Over time, these simple acts grew into complex rituals, shaped by each culture's beliefs about life, death, and what happens next. Many cultures built massive tombs or held special feasts. Some sang songs. Some told stories. All these actions shared a common purpose: to acknowledge the profound mystery of death and to support the living through their pain. Think about how you might feel if a beloved pet passed away. Maybe you'd bury them in your backyard, say a few words, or put a small stone to remember them. You wouldn't just throw them away. You'd do something special because that pet meant a lot to you. That simple act of care, of marking the loss, is a mini funeral custom. It helps you honor their memory and deal with your own sadness. It's a way your heart says goodbye, even if you don't use fancy words or a big ceremony. And that's why funeral customs matter so much, even today. They are not just old traditions we blindly follow. They are deep expressions of love, sorrow, and hope. They connect us to our ancestors, who also face the same difficult questions about life and death. These customs give us a framework, a way to move through a time of intense emotion, surrounded by our community. They remind us that even in loss, we are not alone. And in remembering those who came before us, we understand a little more about what it means to be human, to care, and to live with both joy and sadness. Why we wear special clothes for big events. Have you ever stopped to think why we put on special outfits for certain big moments, like a school dance, a graduation ceremony, or maybe even a fancy family dinner? Why don't we just show up in our everyday jeans and a t-shirt? It's more than just looking nice. It's about something much deeper, something we've been doing for thousands of years, without even realizing it. Here's the thing. Putting on specific clothes for important events is a quiet, powerful ritual. These clothes act like a signal, not just to others, but also to ourselves. They tell us, and everyone around us, that this moment is different. This moment matters. It helps us step out of our normal routine and enter a special space, even if that space is just our own mind. Think about people in ancient times. Priests wore special robes when they performed sacred ceremonies. Warriors put on particular armor, not just for protection, but also to show they were ready for battle, strong and unified. Kings and queens wore crowns and grand robes that told everyone they were in charge. These were not just fashion choices, they were symbols. They marked a change, a new role, or a serious purpose. This practice isn't new at all. It's part of human nature. We have always felt the need to make certain moments stand out. Our ancestors understood that how you dress can change how you feel and how you act. It's like a quiet agreement that we make with ourselves and our community. This is important, and I am ready for it. Consider a sports team. Every player wears a uniform. It's not just to tell them apart from the other team. When you put on that jersey, you become part of something bigger. You feel connected to your teammates, and you feel ready to play the game. That uniform helps you get into the right mindset for competition. Or think about a scientist in a lab coat. That coat isn't just to keep their clothes clean. It's a uniform that tells them, and others, it's time for careful, serious work. It helps them feel like a scientist, ready to focus on their experiments. Psychologists even have a name for how clothes can change our thinking. Enclothed cognition. It means that what you wear can actually influence your mental processes. So, when you put on nice clothes, you often feel more confident, more serious, or more respectful. It's not just about looking the part. It's about feeling the part. It's about shifting your mindset and preparing for whatever lies ahead. These special clothes are more than just fabric stitched together. They are threads of intention, woven into the very structure of our important events. They help us honor the past, celebrate the present, and step into the future. They are a quiet acknowledgement that some moments in life are sacred, and we are changing, even just a little, within them. They help us connect to something larger than ourselves, a shared human experience of making meaning in the world. It's a beautiful, unnoticed ritual that helps us mark our journey through life, one special moment, one special outfit at a time. The ancient art of telling stories. Have you ever stopped to think about why we tell stories? Not just in movies or books, but every day? When you tell your friend about something wild that happened, or share a memory with your family, you're taking part in one of the oldest, most important human rituals. It's a quiet, deep art that connects us all. For thousands and thousands of years, long before schools or written language, stories were how everything worked. Imagine our ancestors, maybe sitting around a flickering fire at night. The sky above them was filled with more stars than you could ever count. There was no internet, no television, not even books. So, how did they teach their children what was dangerous? How did they share what they believed about the world, or remember the brave acts of their grandmothers? They told stories. These weren't just made-up tales to pass the time. These stories were their history lessons, their science textbooks, their moral guides. They talked about hunting mighty animals, about spirits in the trees, about the stars moving across the night sky. Each story carried a piece of truth, a lesson learned, or a feeling that needed to be shared. The storyteller wasn't just entertaining, they were passing on survival, meaning, and connection. This ritual of sharing stories created a bond, making people feel like part of something bigger than themselves. Think about how your brain works. It loves stories. It organizes information into a kind of story, with a beginning, a middle, and an end. When someone tells you something important, your brain tries to make a story out of it, and that's why it matters. Stories help us understand the world, even the parts that are hard to grasp. They help us make sense of feelings like fear or joy. They let us walk in someone else's shoes for a little while and see the world through their eyes. This helps us grow, learn empathy, and connect with others, even people we've never met. Here's the thing. You perform this ancient ritual all the time without even thinking about it. When you're scrolling through social media, what do you see? People sharing little stories about their day. When you play a video game, it usually has a story, a journey for your character to take. When you watch a television show, it's a story unfolding. We are constantly seeking out stories, creating them, and living inside them. They shape how we think, how we feel, and how we see ourselves in the world. So, the next time you hear a story, or tell one yourself, pause for a moment. Feel the weight of thousands of years behind that simple act. Understand that you are not just passing time. You are taking part in a deep, powerful human tradition. You are connecting with all the people who have ever lived, across all of history. And in that quiet moment of sharing, you keep a very ancient flame burning bright. Whispering secrets. A timeless custom. Have you ever done something, a small action, without really knowing why, but it just felt right? Like an old memory stirring deep inside you, even though you've never experienced it before? We all have these moments. And here's the thing. Many of our deepest feelings and everyday actions are like quiet whispers from the distant past, ancient customs we still follow without knowing their true age. This timeless custom isn't a single big ritual you see in movies or history books. Instead, it's about the quiet, often unconscious ways we carry on very old human behaviors. Think of it like a silent language spoken across thousands of years. It's not something written down or taught in a classroom. It's passed on through actions, through feelings, through the way we naturally respond to the world around us. It's like an inherited memory, held deep within our very being, a soft echo from the first humans. Imagine early humans, long before writing, long before schools. How did they teach their children what was safe and what was dangerous? How did they pass down the best ways to find food or shelter? They didn't always use words. Sometimes they used actions. A quick glance at the sky, a particular way of holding a tool, a shared silence when a predator was near. These weren't just movements, they were lessons. They were ways of knowing that became ingrained, not just in their minds, but in their bodies and their very sense of being. Over countless generations, these small, powerful ways of being became a part of us, woven into the fabric of human experience. It's about collective memory, passed down not through spoken words, but through patterns of behavior and emotion that feel incredibly natural. We humans are creatures of habit and connection. We absorb so much from our environment, and perhaps even from the experiences of our ancestors. Consider a simple, everyday feeling. The sense of wanting to be part of a group, to belong. Why does it feel so important to us? In ancient times, being part of a tribe meant survival. Being alone meant danger. So, the urge to connect, to gather, to share space with others became deeply wired into us. It's why huddling together around a fire, even just a glowing screen on a cold night, can still bring a strange comfort. It's not something we're taught to do. It's something we feel we should do, something that feels inherently right. That feeling is a whisper from a time when fire meant warmth, safety, and community against the vast, dark unknown. Another example, a sudden gut feeling. Have you ever walked into a room and felt an immediate sense of unease, even if nothing seems wrong? Or perhaps you've felt a strong pull towards someone you just met, like you've known them forever? These feelings aren't always logical, but sometimes they are ancient alarms or ancient welcomes. Our ancestors, lived in a world where tiny clues, unspoken signals, could mean the difference between life and death. That quick shiver, that sudden warmth, they could be echoes of an instinct that kept our lineage alive, helping them recognize friend from foe, or danger from safety. Think about how you comfort a crying child. You don't usually sit them down and explain the psychology of tears. Instead, you might gently rock them, or offer a soothing sound, or hold them close. These actions are almost automatic, universal. They are deeply comforting. Why? Because these are the very actions our ancient mothers and fathers used to calm their little ones, creating a bond of safety and love that transcended words. It's a primal response, a timeless custom of care, and that's why this whispering secret matters. It reminds us that we are part of a long, unbroken chain of humanity. Our everyday actions, our deepest feelings, our most instinctive reactions, they are not just random. They are echoes of those who came before us. It's a quiet connection to a deeper history, making us realize we are never truly alone in our experiences. We carry a bit of ancient wisdom inside us, a silent guide, even when we don't know it. It's a beautiful thought, isn't it? To know that the way we breathe, the way we connect, the way we simply are, holds the whispers of countless generations. Making a wish on a star, an old belief. Have you ever looked up at the vast night sky, maybe on a clear night far from city lights? You might spot a particularly bright star, or a shooting star streaking across the darkness. And for a moment, did you feel a quiet urge, a soft whisper inside you, to make a wish? It's a feeling many of us have experienced, a small, hopeful act. But here's the thing. This simple habit of wishing on a star is not new. It's an ancient ritual, a deep belief passed down through countless generations that we still carry out without even thinking about it. So, what does it truly mean to wish on a star? On the surface, it's about hoping for something with all your heart. You want something good to happen, maybe for yourself or for someone you care about, and you direct that hope, that silent request, towards a distant point of light. For people long ago, this act was a way to connect with forces much bigger than themselves. They didn't have science as we do today to explain the universe. Instead, they saw the night sky as a living canvas, filled with mystery and power. Imagine living thousands of years ago. There were no bright streetlights, no television screens, no glow from phones. The night sky was incredibly dark, and the stars shone with an amazing brilliance that we rarely see now. To these ancient people, the stars weren't just burning balls of gas millions of miles away. They were thought to be the eyes of gods, or spirits watching over them. Some believed stars were holes in a celestial curtain, showing glimpses of a heavenly world beyond. Others saw them as the souls of ancestors, or powerful beings who could influence life on Earth. And so, when a star seemed to fall, what we now call a meteor, or a shooting star, it was seen as a very special moment. It was like a god or a spirit briefly touching the earth, opening a window, or sending a direct message. This fleeting moment was thought to be a rare chance for a person's deepest desires to be heard and perhaps granted. It was a way for people to feel less alone in a huge, often scary and mysterious world. It offered comfort. It offered a sense of connection to things they couldn't control. Think about how you might throw a coin into a wishing well or blow out the candles on a birthday cake. You might know, logically, that the coin or the candles don't have magical powers. But the act of making the wish, the focusing of your desire, still feels important, right? It's the same idea with wishing on a star. It's not necessarily about the star itself having magic powers. Instead, it's about what the ritual does for you. It gives you a moment to pause. It helps you name what you truly want, deep inside. This ancient practice of wishing on a star, then, is less about supernatural power and more about human focus. It's about hope. It's about belief. When you wish for something, you are, in a way, focusing your mind on a goal. It's like a quiet promise you make to yourself or to the universe. Sometimes, just by saying what you want, even silently to a star, you begin to make it more real in your own mind. This can give you the push you need to start working towards that wish. So, the next time you see a bright star and feel that old urge to make a wish, remember this. you are not just doing a silly, hopeful thing. You are connecting with a deep human tradition that reaches back thousands of years. You are sharing in a universal human need to dream, to hope, and to find meaning in the vastness of the night sky. It's a quiet, personal moment where you tap into the powerful idea that your hopes, your dreams, and your deepest desires matter. It reminds us that even in a world full of big mysteries, our own inner hopes can shine like the brightest stars. The superstition of black cats. Have you ever felt a little twitch of worry when a black cat crosses your path? Maybe you've heard stories, old whispers about bad luck or misfortune. It's a belief many people carry, a quiet habit of thought passed down through generations. But what is it about these sleek, dark creatures that made them symbols of dread for some, and symbols of good fortune for others? Here's the thing about superstitions. They are beliefs that aren't based on facts or reason. Instead, they come from old stories, fears, or ancient traditions. We cling to them sometimes, even when we know deep down they might not make much sense. The superstition of the black cat is one of the most famous examples of this. It's not just a simple belief. It's a window into how human fear and misunderstanding can shape our world for centuries. If we look back in time, we see that cats, especially black ones, haven't always been seen as unlucky. In ancient Egypt, for example, all cats were honored. They were thought to bring good fortune and protect homes. People loved them and even mourned them deeply when they passed away. For the Egyptians, a cat, no matter its color, was a sign of grace and protection. This shows you that beliefs can change a lot depending on where and when you live. But then, as history moved forward, especially into medieval Europe, things shifted dramatically for black cats. This was a time when fear of the unknown was strong. People were afraid of diseases they couldn't explain, and of anything that seemed different or mysterious. Black cats, with their silent movements and nighttime habits, seemed to fit that mysterious picture. And here's where the true trouble began for them. During this period, there was a widespread fear of witchcraft. People believed in witches who practiced dark magic, and these witches were often thought to have animal companions, or familiars, that helped them. Because black cats were seen as mysterious and moved in the shadows, they became easy targets. People started to believe that black cats were witches themselves in disguise, or that they were evil spirits helping witches. This isn't based on any truth, of course, but the idea took hold like a stubborn weed. So, here's what happened. Black cats were unfairly linked to bad things. If something bad happened, a sickness, a bad harvest, or just an accident, people might look for a reason, and a black cat might become a convenient scapegoat. It's a bit like how a rumor can start about someone new at school. Maybe someone makes up a story that isn't true, but because people hear it and repeat it, others start to believe it. And then, without ever really getting to know the person, people might treat them differently, based only on that untrue story. That's what happened to black cats. They didn't do anything wrong, but the story about them changed how a whole continent felt. Think about it. An innocent animal became a symbol of fear, not because of anything it did, but because of human anxieties. This deep-seated fear led to centuries of unkindness toward these creatures. It's strange to think that a simple animal, a pet that could bring joy and comfort, became so burdened by human imagination. Today, many of us know that black cats are just cats. They are no more good or bad than any other cat or any other animal. Their fur color is just that, a color. Yet, the old superstition still lingers in our minds, a faint echo of ancient fears. It reminds us how powerful stories can be, even when they're not true. It shows us how easily fear can attach itself to something innocent, and that's why it matters. This old ritual, this unspoken belief, makes us think, what else do we believe just because it's been passed down, without truly looking at it ourselves? It's a gentle push to question, to understand, and to look past old tales and see the world, and every creature in it, for what they truly are. Don't break a mirror. 7 years of bad luck? Have you ever wondered why we whisper about 7 years of bad luck if a mirror shatters? It's a common saying, a little shiver-inducing, but do we truly believe a broken piece of glass can control our future for so long? This old idea reaches back much further than you might think. connecting to ancient ways of seeing the world and ourselves. For people long ago, a reflection was a mysterious thing. Before glass mirrors, they saw their faces in still pools of water or highly polished metal. Imagine looking into a calm lake and seeing your own image staring back. It must have felt like looking at a part of your soul, or maybe even a hidden spirit. The idea grew that a mirror didn't just show your face, it held a piece of you, maybe even your very spirit or soul. The ancient Greeks and Romans, for example, believed that reflections in water or polished bronze were windows into the soul. If this window was disturbed or broken, it meant harm to the soul it reflected. The Romans, in particular, had a belief that a person's health and life renewed itself in cycles of 7 years. So, if your mirror, which held a piece of your essence, broke, it meant that your soul was somehow damaged. And because life cycles refreshed every 7 years, it would take a full 7 years for your soul to mend and be fully renewed. This is where the specific 7 years likely came from. It wasn't just random bad luck. It was about the time it took for the inner you to heal. But what about today? Do we still believe our soul is trapped in a mirror, waiting for 7 years to be free? Probably not in the same way. So why does the superstition stick around? Here's the thing. Our minds are powerful. If we break a mirror and truly believe bad things will happen, we start looking for them. A missed bus, a spilled drink, a low score on a test. Suddenly, they're not just everyday annoyances, they're proof that the curse is real. This is kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you tell yourself, today is going to be a terrible day, you might notice every little problem and let it ruin your mood. But if you tell yourself, today will be good, you might shrug off those same problems and keep going. The mirror didn't cause the bad luck. Your expectation did. The truth is, life has its ups and downs. Things break. Sometimes, bad things happen. And sometimes, good things happen. Often for reasons we can't control or even fully understand. The broken mirror superstition, in a way, gives us a simple explanation for the confusing parts of life. It's easier to blame a broken mirror than to accept that sometimes things just go wrong. So, the next time you hear about a broken mirror and its 7 years of bad luck, remember its ancient roots. It's a whisper from a time when the world felt more magical, and people tried to make sense of life's mysteries by linking them to everyday objects. And maybe, think about how our own minds can shape our experiences. The real reflection isn't in the glass, but in how we choose to see the challenges and changes that come our way, knowing that no piece of broken glass truly controls our path. Why we clap our hands together. Have you ever really stopped to think about clapping? It seems so simple, doesn't it? Just 2 hands coming together to make a sound. But here's the thing. This act, this basic rhythm we make with our own bodies, holds a much deeper story than you might realize. It's an ancient ritual, one we still perform every single day without really thinking about its roots. Imagine a time long, long ago, before instruments, before loudspeakers. People needed ways to communicate, to make sounds that carried, to mark important moments. The clap was one of the first. It's instant. It's loud. It's a clear signal. Think about it. Our hands are always with us. They are ready-made tools for creating immediate sound. Across different cultures and through thousands of years, clapping wasn't just for showing you liked a show. No, it was used for many things. Some ancient people believed that the sharp, sudden sound of clapping could scare away evil spirits or bad luck. It was like a quick burst of energy to clean the air around them, to push away anything negative. Others used it to keep a beat for dances, for songs, for rituals. It helped groups of people move together, feel together, almost as if they were one single body moving to the same rhythm. It was a way to create a shared energy, a pulse that everyone felt together. Think about how we use clapping even now. When a group of friends is singing happy birthday, someone might start clapping to keep the rhythm. Or when you're at a basketball game and your team needs a boost, everyone starts clapping together. It's not just noise. It's a shared heartbeat. It's a way for everyone to say, we are here. We are together. We believe. This can help you understand how powerful it is. It makes you feel part of something bigger, doesn't it? When hundreds, even thousands, of people clap at the same time, It creates a powerful wave of sound and feeling that echoes through the room, through the stadium, through the very air. Beyond applause, a single clap can grab attention. If someone is talking loudly and you want them to stop, a sudden clap can make them pause. Or if you're trying to get a friend's attention from across the room, a quick clap can cut through the noise better than yelling their name. It's a nonverbal way of saying, "Look here," or "Listen up." What's really happening when we clap? It's two surfaces of our body, our palms hitting each other. This creates air pressure waves that travel to our ears as sound. But it's more than just physics. It's about the connection it creates. When you clap for someone, you are sending them a message of approval, of support, of gratitude. And when others clap with you, you are joining in a collective voice. It's a simple act, yet it ties us to a long, human story of shared moments, of expressing ourselves, and of coming together. So, the next time you clap your hands, whether it's for a great performance, to cheer on a team, or just to keep time to a song, take a moment, feel the rhythm, hear the sound. Remember that you're not just making noise. You are taking part in something incredibly ancient and deeply human. You are echoing the rhythms of our ancestors, who used this same simple act for their own important moments. It's a way we still share feelings, without needing any words at all. Think about it. A room full of applause means everyone feels the same joy or appreciation. A rhythmic clap can unify a crowd, making them move as one, feel as one. It's a simple, powerful way we continue to connect, to acknowledge, and to share our energy, one hand slap at a time. It reminds us that even the simplest gestures hold complex histories, binding us to those who came before and to each other right now, in this very moment. This small sound, created by our own bodies, is a testament to how humans have always found ways to communicate, celebrate, and belong. The hidden meaning of hand gestures. Have you ever really watched your hands when you talk? Or when someone else does? What if those simple movements, the ones you don't even think about, hold secrets from a long, long time ago? It's easy to believe that our hand gestures are just quick little actions, helpful ways to add meaning to our words. But here's the thing. Many of the hand signals we use every single day are like echoes from ancient times, carrying meanings we've forgotten. Think of it like this. Our hands have a secret language, one that was spoken long before written words, even before spoken languages as we know them. Imagine people in old civilizations, living thousands of years ago. They didn't have phones or internet. They communicated in ways that relied heavily on their bodies, especially their hands. These gestures weren't just random wiggles. They were powerful messages, often used in important ceremonies, sacred rituals, and even just everyday greetings. Consider the simple wave, the one you give when you say hello or goodbye. It feels so natural, right? But here's what I found. In ancient times, showing empty hands, palms open, was a sign of peace. It meant, "I have no weapons. I mean you no harm." It was a way to show trust and openness, a basic and very important greeting between people who might otherwise have been wary of each other. That simple wave today is still a quiet, powerful message of goodwill, even if we don't think about its ancient roots. Or what about when you put your hands together? Maybe when you're thinking hard, or praying, or just listening deeply. This gesture, often seen as a sign of respect or deep thought, has also been around forever. In many ancient cultures, clasping hands could symbolize an agreement, a bond, or a deep sense of connection. It was a physical way of showing unity or inner focus, like all your energy was coming together. And that's why it matters, because we still do it, almost without realizing the quiet power it holds. Even something like pointing a finger, which we sometimes use to direct attention, has a deep past. While today it can sometimes feel rude, in older times, pointing was a strong signal, a way to focus energy or attention on something important. Shamans and spiritual leaders in ancient cultures often used very precise hand movements, called mudras in places like India, not just to talk, but to connect with spiritual energy or to represent deep ideas. Each position of the fingers, each angle of the hand, had a specific, powerful meaning. They were not just signs. They were part of the ritual itself. This isn't about magic or weird spells. It's about how deeply connected we are to our past. Our hands, these incredible tools, have been speaking for us for thousands of years. They've expressed fear, joy, peace, and agreement in ways that cross all language barriers. Every time you give a thumbs up, remember that it's a very old sign of approval, used by Roman emperors and gladiators. Every time you clap, you're tapping into an ancient way of showing appreciation and collective energy. So, the next time you see someone's hands moving as they talk, or you find your own hands gesturing without you even thinking about it, pause for a moment. You're not just moving your fingers. You're actually participating in a silent, ancient dance of communication. You're carrying forward traditions that have been passed down through generations, like whispers through time. Our hands are living libraries, full of stories and meanings from a world long gone, still speaking to us today, if only we listen closely to their silent words. It's a quiet reminder that we are all part of a much bigger, older human story. Why teams huddle up before a game? Have you ever watched a sports game and seen the team gather in a tight circle, heads bowed, voices low? They call it a huddle. It happens just before a big play, or maybe before the whole game even starts. But have you ever stopped to wonder why they do it? On the surface, it seems simple enough. It's a moment for players to quickly share a plan, to get on the same page, to make sure everyone knows what to do next. It's about strategy, whispered and quickly understood. It's about focus, narrowing everything down to just this one moment, this one goal. But here's the thing. This act of coming together in a tight circle, this ancient idea of a huddle, goes back much, much further than any sports field. Think about our ancestors, thousands of years ago. When dangers lurked, when big decisions needed to be made, or when they faced something huge and unknown, people didn't stand far apart and shout the number. They drew close. They formed a tight circle, shoulders almost touching. This wasn't just for warmth or to keep out the wind. It was a way to feel safe, to share a common breath, to feel the presence of others right beside you. In that close space, ideas could be exchanged without being overheard by enemies. Plans could be made with silent understanding. It was a shared moment of preparation, of shared purpose, a quiet declaration of, we are in this together. It was a ritual for unity, for shared courage. Think about a group project at school. When you really need to get something done, do you just shout ideas across the classroom? No, you pull your chairs together. You lean in. You look at each other's notes, maybe tap on the same tablet screen. You speak in lower voices, not because you're hiding something, but because it helps everyone focus on just that one conversation. It creates a bubble where your group's ideas are the only ones that matter for a moment. Or imagine a group of friends trying to decide on a movie. You don't shout across the house. You gather on the couch, look at the screen together, and discuss options quietly. This shared focus, this physical closeness, helps your brains sync up. It tells your minds, okay, this is important, and we're doing it as one unit. So, when athletes huddle, it's more than just a quick chat about plays. It's a primal act. It's about building trust in the moment, reminding each other that they are a team, not just a collection of individuals. It's about a quick jolt of shared energy. When their bodies come close, their minds align. It's a way to quiet the noise from the crowd, to calm their own racing thoughts, and to draw strength from the people standing right next to them. It makes them feel like a single force, ready to move as one. It's a silent agreement, a shared promise, a moment of deep connection before the storm. And that's why it matters. This simple act, this huddle, is a quiet echo of something very old within us. It reminds us that humans have always needed to come together, especially when facing a challenge. We look for strength in numbers, not just physical strength, but mental and emotional strength too. We seek comfort in unity. So, the next time you see a team huddle, or even when you lean in close with your friends to talk about something important, remember that you're not just performing a simple action. You're taking part in a very human ritual, one that connects us to every group that has ever gathered closely, seeking focus, courage, and a shared way forward. It's a quiet reminder of how much we need each other, and how powerful we can be when we truly act as one. The history of cheers and team spirit. Have you ever thought about why we cheer? Why do we stand together, yelling for our favorite team, or clapping hard for someone who just did something amazing. It feels like just a normal part of life, right? But what if I told you that this simple act of making noise together is a very old ritual, one that reaches back thousands of years? Here's the thing. Cheers, and the feeling of team spirit they create, are about more than just showing excitement. They are about coming together as a group. When people cheer, they are saying, "We are one. We are in this together." This feeling of being connected, of being part of something bigger than yourself, is incredibly powerful. Think about ancient times, long before modern sports or big concerts. Imagine a group of early humans, maybe hunters, facing a huge, dangerous animal. One person alone would be scared, maybe even helpless. But a whole group, working together, making loud noises, and moving in sync, that's a different story. The shouts and calls weren't just random sounds. They were ways to scare off threats, to pump up the hunters, and to make them feel brave. These were the first cheers, a way to build courage and show unity, and that's why it matters. In battles, soldiers would often shout and bang their shields. This wasn't just to make noise. It was to tell the enemy, "We are strong, and we are many." But it was also to remind each other, "We are together. We will fight as one." This kind of collective noise, this shared energy, helped soldiers feel braver and more connected to their group. It built what we now call team spirit. So, this idea isn't new. From tribal dances around a fire, where everyone moved and sang together to feel part of the group, to the roar of a crowd in a Roman Colosseum cheering on gladiators, the purpose was always the same: to create a shared feeling, a bond, a sense of belonging. It was about turning many individuals into one powerful force. Think about your own school. When the bell rings for a fire drill, everyone walks out of the building. But when your school team is playing a big game, and the whole student section is yelling and chanting together, that's different, isn't it? In one moment, you are just a bunch of students. In the other, you are a team, a single, excited unit, all focused on the same goal. That feeling, that energy that bounces between everyone, is what cheers create. It's like when many small lights come together to make one bright, shining beacon. Each light is small, but together, they make a huge difference. This deep human need to belong, to feel connected, is why we still cheer today. It's not just a loud noise, it's a shared breath, a shared heartbeat. It reminds us that even when we feel small, we are part of something vast and powerful when we come together. And in that coming together, there is a quiet strength, a sense of shared purpose that links us to everyone who has ever cheered before us. Saying good luck, a very old blessing. Have you ever stopped to think about what you're really saying when you tell someone good luck? Maybe before a big test, a sports game, or when a friend is trying something new. It's such a common phrase. We say it without thinking. But here's the thing. Those two simple words carry a history that reaches back thousands of years. A hidden ancient ritual we still perform today. When we wish someone good luck, we're doing more than just being polite. We're offering a tiny piece of hope. We're acknowledging that sometimes in life, things are uncertain. We can prepare, we can work hard, but there's always a part we can't control. We call that luck, the unseen forces that can help or hinder. For ancient people, these unseen forces felt much bigger, much closer. They believed in spirits, gods, and energies that could be for them or against them. And so, they developed ways to try and influence these forces. Think about it this way. Imagine you live in a world where a sudden storm could destroy your crops, or an unexpected sickness could take someone you love. There were no weather reports or doctors like we have now. People lived with a lot of uncertainty and fear. So, they looked for ways to bring good things their way and keep bad things away. One powerful way was through words. They believed words had a special kind of magic, a power to shape reality. A spoken wish, a blessing, was like sending out a message to the universe, asking for good fortune to land on a person. It was a way to try and tip the scales in someone's favor when things felt out of their hands. So, when an ancient farmer wished his neighbor good harvest, or a warrior going into battle was told good fortune, it wasn't just a casual remark. It was a serious, deeply felt prayer. a verbal shield, or a hopeful push of energy. They might have believed that saying these words could actually make a difference, protecting against evil spirits or attracting helpful ones. It was a ritual to show support and try to influence the world with positive words. And that's why it matters. This belief in the power of spoken words, especially good wishes, has been passed down through generations. Even today, when your friend tells you good luck before your school play tryouts, it's not because they think there are ancient spirits deciding whether you get the part, but the feeling behind it is the same. It's a wish for things to go well. It's a way of saying, I care about you, and I hope you succeed. It's a small, kind act that brings comfort. It makes you feel less alone, knowing someone is rooting for you. Here's how it works in a simple way. When someone wishes you good luck, it's like they're giving you a tiny bit of their positive energy. It doesn't magically change the outcome, but it changes your feeling about the outcome. It can make you feel more confident, more relaxed, and sometimes that confidence is what helps you do your best. It's a psychological boost. So, the next time you say good luck, take a moment to feel the weight of those words. You're not just speaking casually. You're taking part in a very old tradition of human connection and support. You are tapping into a long, quiet history of people reaching out to each other in moments of uncertainty, offering a gentle hand of hope and kindness. It's a reminder that even the simplest phrases we use every day can hold a deep, ancient meaning, connecting us to all the people who came before us, people who also just wanted things to go well for those they cared about. The ritual of taking a bath. More than just clean. Have you ever noticed how different you feel after a shower or a bath? It's not just about getting clean on the outside. There's a quiet shift inside you too. Maybe the day's worries seem a little lighter, or your mind feels clearer. Here's the thing. This feeling is actually a whisper from ancient times, a deep connection to rituals people performed thousands of years ago. We often think of bathing as just a way to wash dirt off our bodies, something we do every day without much thought. But for many cultures long ago, and even now, water held a much bigger meaning. It was, and still is, a way to cleanse more than just skin. Imagine cultures where water was seen as sacred, a powerful force that could wash away not just physical grime, but also bad feelings, worries, or even bad luck. For the ancient Egyptians, for example, priests and pharaohs would purify themselves with water multiple times a day before entering holy places or performing important tasks. They believed that being truly clean, both inside and out, was necessary to be close to their gods. It wasn't just about hygiene, it was about preparing their spirit. And then there were the Romans, famous for their grand public bathhouses. These weren't just places to get clean. They were social centers, places where people discussed politics, made deals, exercised, and relaxed. The act of moving from cold pools to warm ones, sweating and then bathing, was a full experience for body and mind. It helped them feel refreshed and ready for new challenges, letting go of the day's stresses. Think about it like this. When you come home from a tough day at school, feeling tired or stressed, a warm shower can feel like a soft reset button. The water running over you feels comforting. As it goes down the drain, it's almost like your worries are flowing away with it. This is a very common feeling. It's a bit like when you write down everything bothering you on a piece of paper and then throw that paper away. You're physically removing something that represents your stress. Water does that too, but in a more gentle, flowing way. It's why many people feel so much better after a swim, or even just washing their face. The simple act of water touching your skin, especially when it's warm, can calm your nervous system. It sends signals to your brain that it's time to relax, to let go. So, when you step into the shower or settle into a bath, remember that you're doing more than just cleaning your body. You are, in a very quiet way, taking part in an ancient, unspoken ritual. It's a moment of personal renewal, a time to wash away the day and prepare for what comes next. It's a simple act that connects you to generations of people who understood water's deep power to cleanse and refresh, not just our bodies, but our minds and spirits too. And that's a pretty deep thought for something we do every single day. Why we sit down to eat most of the time. Have you ever really thought about how you eat? Not just what you eat, but the simple act of doing it. Most of the time, we find a chair, a bench, or a spot on the couch, and we sit down. It feels natural, right? Like it's just the way things are supposed to be. But here's the thing. This everyday action, this quiet ritual of sitting down to eat, carries a deep echo of our ancient past. It's a practice passed down through countless generations, and we do it almost without thinking. For early humans, eating wasn't always a relaxed affair. Imagine living thousands of years ago. You're a hunter or a gatherer. Food might be scarce, and danger could be lurking anywhere. If you found something to eat, you probably ate it quickly, standing up, maybe even while moving. There was no time to relax, no guarantee of safety. Eating was about survival, about getting energy into your body as fast as possible so you could keep going, keep protecting yourself. It was a race against hunger and fear. But then, something big changed in human history. People started to farm. They learned to grow their own food, and they built permanent homes. They stopped moving around so much and began living in villages and towns. With a more stable food supply and the safety of a community, eating changed. It became less about quick survival and more about something else: connection. When you sit down to eat, you are, in a quiet way, declaring that you feel safe. You are not running. You are not looking over your shoulder. You are allowing yourself to be still, to be present. This act of stillness, of lowering yourself to the ground or to a chair, signals a trust in your surroundings. And when others sit with you, it signals trust in them too. It's a shared moment of vulnerability and security. Think about a family dinner, even if it's just pizza night. When everyone gathers around a table, sitting, something different happens than if everyone is just grabbing a slice and walking away. You talk more. You share stories. You look at each other. The food nourishes your body, yes, but the act of sitting together, facing each other, nourishes something deeper within us. It nourishes our sense of belonging, our community. In ancient times, this sitting down to eat wasn't just practical. It was a profound social act. Meals were times for teaching, for sharing wisdom, for making plans. Important decisions were often made around a shared meal. It was a moment when the hurried pace of life slowed, and people truly saw each other. Even the way we set a table, with forks and plates, echoes ancient customs where a shared surface was prepared for the group. This wasn't just about good manners. It was about honoring the food, the people, and the moment. So, when you sit down for your next meal, whether it's with your family, your friends at school, or even by yourself, take a quiet moment. Realize that you are not just fueling your body. You are taking part in a very old, very human ritual. You are pausing. You are connecting. You are echoing the ancient need for safety and togetherness. It's a simple act, yes, but it's one that reminds us of our shared journey, our shared need for comfort, and our deep human desire to belong. It's a reminder that sometimes the simplest actions hold the most profound meanings. The old ways of saying hello. Have you ever thought about what we actually do when we say hello? It's not just a word. It's a whole set of actions, isn't it? A smile, a nod, a wave, maybe a handshake. We do these things every single day without really thinking about them, like they're just part of how we exist. But here's the thing. These simple greetings are actually tiny echoes of ancient ways. They are rituals, so old that their true meanings often whisper to us from deep in our past, even if we don't hear them consciously. Imagine a time long, long ago. Humans lived in small groups, and meeting someone new, especially someone from outside your group, could be dangerous. There were no laws or police to keep everyone safe. So, how did people show they meant no harm? How did they try to build a tiny bridge of trust? They developed silent signals. These signals became like small, unspoken agreements, a way to say, I am not a threat. Take the handshake, for example. It feels so normal to us now. You reach out your hand, grip someone else's for a moment, then let go. But think about why that action might have started. In ancient times, people often carried weapons. A simple, open hand, extended towards another, was a clear sign. It showed that your hand was empty. You weren't holding a knife, a club, or a stone. It was a physical promise. My hand is open, I am unarmed. And then, gripping hands, That might have been a way to make sure the other person wasn't hiding a small dagger up their sleeve. It was a check, a test, a moment of shared vulnerability that built a quick sense of safety between two strangers. Over thousands of years, this life-saving gesture became a common courtesy, a way to say, "It's good to meet you, and I come in peace." Or, consider a bow. In many cultures, bowing is a deep sign of respect. When you bow, you lower your head. You become vulnerable. Your neck, a vital and unprotected part of your body, is exposed for a moment. This humble posture silently communicates, "I respect you so much that I trust you with my safety." It says, "I acknowledge your importance." It's a powerful, quiet message that doesn't need words, and that's why it matters. Even when we just nod our heads slightly at someone as we pass them in the hall, we are echoing that ancient, silent show of respect and trust. It's a softened version of a full bow, but the message is still there. Even a simple wave. We lift our hand, moving it back and forth. It's a large, visible signal. Think of it like this. If you were trying to get the attention of someone far away, across a field, you couldn't shout, but a wave is easy to see. It's an ancient way of saying, "I see you, and I want to acknowledge your presence." It's a way to connect even from a distance, long before phones or instant messages existed. It's a signal of recognition, a small flicker of human connection across space. These daily actions, these small greetings, are like invisible threads that tie us to our past. They are not just random habits. They are the quiet ways our ancestors learned to build trust, show respect, and connect with each other. They allowed communities to form and people to feel safe enough to share their lives. Every time we offer a handshake, or give a simple nod, or even just make eye contact and smile, we are performing a ritual that has been passed down for countless generations. We are unknowingly taking part in the very first steps humans took to build a world where strangers could become friends, or at least, not enemies. It's a beautiful thought, isn't it? That the small, automatic ways we say hello today carry the deep, powerful history of what it means to be human and to seek connection. Why we have specific holiday foods. Have you ever stopped to really think about why we eat certain foods during holidays? Like, why is there always turkey at Thanksgiving? Or special cookies during winter holidays? Or maybe a certain kind of cake for birthdays? It's not just because they taste good, even though they usually do. There's something much deeper going on. A quiet whisper from a time long, long ago. Here's the thing. These specific foods are like edible traditions. They are more than just ingredients put together. They are stories, memories, and even ancient beliefs all rolled into one. For thousands of years, people have marked special times with special meals. It's a custom woven into the very fabric of human history. Imagine a time when food was hard to get, when a harvest was good or a hunt was successful. It was a massive deal. People celebrated this abundance, this gift of survival, with feasts. And what they ate at these feasts became sacred, tied to feelings of gratitude and hope. Think about how a certain smell can take you right back to a specific moment, maybe your grandmother's kitchen, or a summer day. Our brains connect smells and tastes very strongly to memories and feelings. It's like when you hear an old song that your parents loved, and suddenly you feel a little closer to them, even if they aren't around. Food works in a similar way. When we eat a holiday dish, it connects us not just to the people around the table, but to all the generations who ate that same dish before us. It's a way of feeling a link to your past, to your family's story, and to the wider human story. Many of these holiday foods started out as practical choices, based on what was available during certain seasons. For example, Thanksgiving's turkey and pumpkin pies came from what early settlers and Native Americans could harvest and hunt in autumn. But over time, these foods took on deeper meanings. They became symbols. A round loaf of bread might symbolize the sun and its life-giving power. Seeds might represent new life and hope. Sweet treats often marked joyful endings or new beginnings. And here's something else interesting. Even as families moved to new places or societies changed, these food traditions often stuck. People brought their recipes with them, like treasured maps to their identity. They adapted them too, using new ingredients, but the heart of the tradition remained. So, a holiday meal is not just about filling your stomach. It's a way we pass down history without even speaking. It's a silent, delicious language connecting us through time. The next time you're gathered around a table for a special meal, take a moment to look at the dishes. Think about the hands that prepared them, not just today, but for hundreds, even thousands of years. You are part of an ancient, ongoing ritual. You are connecting with ancestors you never knew, and you are creating new memories for those who will come after you. It's a simple, profound way to belong, to remember, and to carry forward the rich tapestry of human experience, one meaningful bite at a time. The tradition of holding hands. Have you ever stopped to think about holding someone's hand? It's a simple act, almost automatic. When you're walking with a friend, or perhaps with a parent, a hand reaches out, and another hand meets it. It feels natural, doesn't it? But here's the thing. This common gesture, one we barely notice, is actually an echo of something very ancient and very deep within us. It's a ritual, a silent language passed down through countless generations, one we still perform unknowingly every single day. Holding hands is more than just connecting two palms. It's a powerful way to communicate without words. It speaks of comfort, support, and a shared journey. When you hold someone's hand, you're not just touching their skin. You're often reaching for something inside them, and letting them reach for something inside you. This act tells a story of connection, of shared humanity. It says, I am here, or we are in this together, or you are not alone. Think about humans long ago, living in caves or open lands. Life was hard and often dangerous. People relied on each other for survival. Being alone meant facing hungry animals or harsh weather by yourself. Being part of a group, a tribe, meant safety and warmth. How did they show that they belonged together, that they trusted each other? They didn't have phones or written messages, but they had touch. A hand reaching out would have been a direct, clear signal of alliance, of comfort, of presence. It was a way to share warmth, to guide through darkness, to pull someone up, or to simply share the burden of a long walk. This wasn't just a polite gesture. It was vital for their very existence. This instinct to connect through touch, especially through holding hands, is still very much alive within us. It's part of our shared human story. Consider a moment when you felt scared or unsure. Maybe you were in a crowded place, like a big amusement park, and you were little. Did you reach for your parents' hand? That simple grasp likely made the world feel a little less overwhelming, a little safer. Or perhaps a friend was upset about something, and without thinking, you offered your hand, a quiet way of saying, "It's okay, I'm here for you." Your brain actually sends out happy and calm signals when you experience comforting touch like this. This is because holding hands releases special chemicals in your body, like oxytocin, sometimes called the bonding hormone. So, it's not just a feeling. It's a real biological response that makes us feel connected and secure. It's a built-in system that tells us we are safe when we are connected to others. This ancient tradition, this quiet act of holding hands, is a gentle reminder that we are all interconnected. It's a very humble, yet incredibly strong bridge between people. It speaks of a deep human need for belonging, for trust, and for support. Even in a world filled with technology and loud noises, the silent conversation of two hands clasped together still carries the same powerful message it did thousands of years ago. It's a beautiful, simple ritual that whispers to our oldest instincts, reminding us of our shared journey and the quiet strength we find in one another. The ancient reason for personal space. Have you ever felt that tiny shiver? That slight discomfort when someone stands just a little too close, maybe when you're talking or waiting in line? It's not always a bad feeling, but it's definitely a feeling. Like an invisible line has been crossed. We often call this personal space. But what if this very feeling, this silent need for a little bubble around us, is actually something much older than we realize? What if it's an ancient ritual we still perform without even thinking about it? Think back, way back, to when humans lived in small groups, relying on each other for survival. Life was hard. Danger was everywhere. Who was friend? Who was foe? Being able to quickly tell the difference could mean life or death. When someone entered your personal bubble too fast, or without a clear reason, it was a signal. It meant they were close enough to strike, to steal, to threaten your safety or your food. So, over thousands and thousands of years, our brains developed a built-in alarm system, a very quiet one, that reacted to this closeness. It's like a soft voice in your mind that whispers, "Hey, pay attention. This person is in your space." This isn't just about avoiding germs, even though that's a practical benefit of distance. It's much deeper than that. It's about a fundamental human need for safety and respect. Imagine a bird sitting calmly on a branch. If you get too close too quickly, it flies away. It needs its space. Or think about a loyal dog with its favorite chew toy. If you reach for it without an invitation, it might give a low growl. That's its territory, its personal space, its sense of ownership and security. We humans, with our complex thoughts and feelings, have a more layered version of this same basic instinct. In our daily lives, we perform this ancient ritual constantly. Think about lining up for lunch at school. There's a natural, unspoken distance we all tend to keep from the person in front of us. Or imagine sitting on a crowded bus. We try our best not to bump elbows or knees with strangers, even when it's packed. This isn't something our parents or teachers specifically sat us down and taught us with a list of rules. It's something we just know. It's a silent agreement, an unwritten law, a delicate dance of closeness and distance that keeps everyone comfortable and feeling respected. This invisible dance is a deep part of our social programming, passed down not through books, but through everyday interactions for generations. Philosophers and thinkers for centuries have tried to understand this. They might describe our personal space as an invisible extension of who we are, a boundary of our very being. When someone crosses that boundary without our permission, it can feel like a small invasion, not just of our physical space, but of ourself, our thoughts, our sense of control. So, the simple act of stepping back, or waiting for an invitation to come closer, isn't just polite. It's actually a very old, very important way of showing respect for another person's independence, their comfort, and their unspoken need for safety. It's a way of saying, "I see you, and I respect your right to be you, in your own bubble." It's a ritual without grand ceremonies or specific words. It's a daily, repeated pattern, woven into the fabric of our social lives. The slight lean away when someone gets too close. The subtle step back you take without even thinking. These are tiny, ancient signals, and they're still vital today. They help us live together, not just in peace, but in deeper understanding. They remind us that while we are unique individuals, we are also deeply connected, and respecting these invisible boundaries is how we keep those connections strong, safe, and true. So, the next time you feel that gentle, quiet pushback when someone steps a little too near, pause for a moment. Remember its deep roots. It's a whisper from the very distant past, an echo of our ancestors, reminding us of the fundamental human need for a secure place to simply be, safe and respected, in our own little world, even as we share a much bigger one with everyone else. This unspoken ritual of personal space is a silent testament to our shared history, allowing us to navigate the world with both autonomy and connection. Wearing a charm for good fortune. Have you ever worn something special, like a favorite necklace or a worn-out hat, hoping it would bring you luck? Maybe it's a tiny charm on a bracelet, or a stone you found that just felt right. We often don't think much about it, but this simple act, holding on to an object for good fortune, is one of the oldest human rituals. It connects us to people who lived thousands of years ago, people who walked the earth long before us. A charm, in this sense, isn't just a pretty piece of jewelry. It's any object, a small coin, a specific piece of clothing, even a particular rock that someone believes has a special power. It might bring good luck, protect them from harm, or give them strength. The interesting thing is, the object itself usually doesn't have any real magic. Its power comes from what we believe about it. It's a symbol of hope, a physical reminder of our wishes and fears. It acts like a tiny anchor in a sometimes stormy world. For as long as humans have existed, they've looked for ways to feel safe and in control. The world used to be a much more mysterious place. People faced dangers from wild animals, unpredictable weather, and unknown illnesses. They didn't have science to explain everything, So, they often turned to objects. Ancient Egyptians wore amulets shaped like scarab beetles for rebirth and protection. Roman soldiers carried small figures of their gods for courage in battle. Vikings carved powerful symbols onto their tools and jewelry for strength and victory. In many cultures, certain stones, plants, or animal parts were thought to hold special energy. They weren't just decorations. These items were believed to be active forces, helping to guide destiny or ward off evil. Even though we live in a different time, with more scientific answers, that ancient need for reassurance, that desire for a little extra help, still lives deep inside us. We reach for those lucky items almost without thinking, following a very old path. Think about a baseball player who always wears the same old pair of socks for every game. Do those socks actually make him hit the ball better or throw faster? Probably not. But maybe he believes they do. Maybe wearing them makes him feel calm, focused, and ready. That feeling of confidence can make a huge difference in how he performs. It's not the socks, it's the state of mind the socks help create. This is a lot like something psychologists study called the placebo effect. Imagine someone feels sick, and a doctor gives them a sugar pill, but tells them it's powerful medicine. If the person truly believes it's medicine, sometimes they start to feel better, even though the pill did nothing directly. Their mind's belief actually helped their body. Our charms work in a similar way. They don't magically change the world around us, but they can powerfully change our inner world. They can make us feel braver, more hopeful, or less anxious simply because we believe in their power. And when we feel those things, we act differently. We might try harder, take a chance, or approach challenges with a clearer mind. So, when we pick up that lucky coin or wear that favorite bracelet, we're not just being superstitious. We are, unknowingly, performing an ancient human ritual. We are connecting to a shared past, to a time when people sought comfort and courage in simple things. These charms aren't powerful because of some hidden magic within them. Their true strength lies in the meaning we give them. They are quiet reminders of our hopes, our dreams, and our own deep ability to believe. They show us that sometimes the greatest strength doesn't come from outside, but from the quiet, determined power of our own minds, guiding us forward. It's a beautiful thought, isn't it? How something so small can carry so much human meaning, linking us through time. The unseen rules of politeness. Have you ever stopped to wonder why we do certain things without thinking? Like saying bless you when someone sneezes, or waiting for a person to finish talking before you speak. These little actions, the ones we barely notice, are often called politeness. But here's the thing. Many of them are like ancient rituals, passed down through generations, almost like secret codes we all agree to follow. We do them because everyone else does them, and they just feel right. Think about it this way. Politeness isn't just about good manners. It's a deep, unspoken language that helps us live together. It's about showing respect and making the world feel a little bit safer and calmer. Long, long ago, when people lived in small tribes or villages, it was super important to get along. If everyone fought all the time, the group wouldn't survive. So, they started doing simple things to show they meant no harm, or that they honored another person. These actions weren't written down in a rulebook. They grew out of how people interacted, out of a quiet understanding that built trust. Imagine walking up to someone you've never met in ancient times. How would you show you weren't a threat? Maybe you'd hold out an empty hand, palm open, to show you weren't holding a weapon. That's actually where the handshake comes from. It's a very old ritual, still done today, silently telling someone, I come in peace. Or think about how we offer someone a seat, especially someone older or in need. There's no law saying you have to, but it's an old, deep feeling of care that we've kept. It's like an echo from a time when caring for the community was everything. Consider the simple act of listening when someone else is talking. Why do we wait for our turn? It might seem obvious, but it's an unseen rule, isn't it? It's about respecting another person's voice, giving their thoughts space. If everyone just talked over each other, nothing would get done. It would be chaos. This simple act of waiting, of giving attention, is a ritual of respect that has existed for thousands of years, helping people understand each other and work together. It's a quiet agreement that makes conversations, and even whole societies, possible, and that's why it matters. These unseen rules of politeness are not just polite gestures, they are whispers from the past. They connect us to everyone who came before us, to their need for order, safety, and understanding. Each time you say please or thank you, or hold the door open, you're not just being nice. You are taking part in a timeless dance of human connection. You are honoring a very old, very human need to belong, to be understood, and to show care. It's a reminder that even in our busy modern lives, we are still guided by the gentle, deep wisdom of those who lived long, long ago. They are the quiet threads that weave us all together, making our shared world a little bit more gentle, a little more human.